pop, must have died, check the vital signs. He revived the first time he started writing rhymes. On the mic in the spotlight, he likes to shine. No surprise, I'm the guy that they idolize.
I think the rule.
All right, cool.
Yeah, is it too loud? I think the rule is like a fist from your face, and then you will see the difference
what
here
if you
versus.
deep-throat it? Nah, no homo.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Audio might come out a little bit differently there. Shit's good too.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Check.
Well, hang on. Let me first BigStat.
Nice to meet you, my friend. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. It's been a minute too, because we
on
like
UMass.
Yeah. We were kind of always in the same circles, but never actually sat down together.
Yep.
So this is good. And Hoods on Gary Road was like, I want to make that into an album one day. It's kind of like a way to play off of the gangster, but you're not gangster, but like Hoods on, you know, like so you're still repping a certain type of mental while you do it, which, you know, I guess it would agree with like the hip hop mental.
Simpson's thugged out on the low. He's mad thugged out.
Yeah, they don't be telling my shit, man. But where do you live? Or yeah, I guess you don't need to get into none of that.
Yeah, I live right in that area.
Yeah. Has Enfield changed for you since so Enfield, Connecticut, has it changed for you over time? Because the way that I used to think about Enfield versus the way used to being like a teenager, like I need to get the fuck up out of here, has changed versus how I feel now.
I grew up in Enfield. I grew up over in Skidco, Green Manor.
Yeah.
And
oh, you're one of those kids.
I was one of those kids. Yeah. My neighbor was Sean, that kid that shot them kids down at the pool.
Oh shit!
Do you remember that back in '97?
Why there's no pool no more?
There's no pool no more. Yeah. They put a skate park there or whatever. But I went to elementary school right there, Nathan Hale, and I bounced around a little bit. Lived in Windsor Locks. Lived in Suffield for a little bit. After my mother passed away, my father got remarried. We moved to Suffield for a little bit, and then I was looking for houses for like 6-7 months, and it just so happened to be back in Enfield, so came full circle.
It's not a bad spot.
Nah, I live on the Long Meadow side, so it's a little bit more quiet. It's a little chill. All my neighbors are a little older, so they don't really bother me, you know. But
plus you got Armadas right there, which is a nice thing to run to and have.
They got that's the best spot to get steak, salmon, salmon. I get all the salmon there, man.
I got that cranberry walnut fucking chicken salad. That shit is
I gotta try that, man. I haven't tried that, man.
Cheers, man.
Salute, man. You got the bottle shop. This is where I get the Ipas from, man. My father-in-law calls them Ipas.
Ipas. No doubt. Well, you got
Big Staffy, go get the Ipas.
Why? Oh, Puerto Rican? Gotcha.
My mother-in-law's boyfriend, Chico. Shout out to my boy Chico De Gallo, man. That's my dude, man.
Chico De Gallo?
Yeah, that's his nickname.
That's mad funny. The before you got here, what we were talking about was I was thinking of potentially, if you don't want to, it's cool. But we were kind of thinking about it like what's a good way to prime the conversation? I was actually telling my dad this the other day. Like, what's a good way to almost make it so instead of just starting the race, you're starting it more like you're number 2 in a baton race, right? Like someone's behind you and you're already running. So would you be down to hear, like, I think it's like 5-7 minutes, something like that, but a little clip that we threw over of have you ever heard of Jordan Peterson?
No, I haven't.
No, he's someone.
Let's do it, man. I want to check it. Yeah.
You down?
Yeah.
All right, I'll play it on this thing. But either way, what I'll do is I'll edit in the actual audio so it sounds better. But it's just Jordan Peterson is. I got this book here.
He got Kamikaze on his phone. 12. I know he's listening to Kamikaze.
We just started getting into it. 12 Rules for Life.
Okay.
And I've heard him on Joe Rogan's podcast a few times. One of the few people that I agree with right now. Someone that he ain't no Alan Watts, but I'm listening to him like he is.
Okay. More recent.
Yeah, definitely more recent. Definitely a lot more understanding with the times and shit like that. And it's going to play on this, so if you want to take these off, we can. I like to do that during the conversation.
Yeah.
But
let's do it, man.
And this is Nikki Wasby, too.
It's not an accident
That's
that
Nicky
the
Ball.
axiomatic Western individual is someone who was unfairly nailed to a cross and tortured. It's like, yes, right, exactly. So what do you do about that? Well, I thought about that for a long time too. It's like, well, you don't get together in a damn bomb, because all that does is allow you to be as horrible as you could possibly imagine and suffer from none of the consequences. That's a bad idea. So how about we don't do that? Well, there's a deep idea in the West too. It's like, pick up your damn suffering and bear it. And try to be a good person so you don't make it worse. Well, that's a truth. You know, I read a lot about the terrible things that people have done to each other. You just cannot even imagine it. It's so awful. So you don't want to be someone like that. Now, do you have a reason to be? Yes! You have a lot of reasons to be. God, there's reasons to be resentful about your existence. Everyone you know is going to die. You know, you too. And there's going to be a fair bit of pain along the way, and lots of it's going to be unfair. It's like, yeah, no wonder you're resentful. It's like, act it out and see what happens. You make everything you're complaining about infinitely worse. There's this idea that hell is a bottomless pit, and that's because no matter how bad it is, some stupid son of a bitch like you could figure out a way to make it a lot worse. So you think, well, what do you do about that? Well, you accept it. That's what life is like. It's suffering. That's what the religious people have always said. Life is suffering. Yes. Well, who wants to admit that? Well, just think about it. Well, so what do you do in the face of that suffering? Try to reduce it. Start with yourself. What good are you? Get yourself together, for Christ's sake, so that when your father dies, you're not whining away in a corner, and you can help plan the funeral, and you can stand up solidly so that people can rely on you. That's better. Don't be a damn victim. Of course you're a victim. Jesus. Obviously. Put yourself together. And then maybe if you put yourself together, you know how to do that. You know what's wrong with you, if you'll admit it. You know there's a few things you could like polish up a little bit, that you might even be able to manage in your insufficient present condition. And so you might shine yourself up a little bit, and then your eyes will be a little more open, then you can shine yourself up a little bit more, and then maybe you could bring your family together instead of having them be the hateful, spiteful, neurotic, infighting batch that you're like doomed to spend Christmas with. So then you fix yourself up a little bit, kind of humbly, because, you know, God, you're a fixer-upper if there ever was one. And then you got to figure out, well, can you figure out how to make peace with your idiot brother? And probably not, because he's just as dumb as you. So how the hell are you going to manage that? And so then maybe you get somewhere that way, and your family's sort of functioning, and you find out, well, that kind of relieved a little bit of suffering, although it reduced the opportunities for spiteful revenge, and that's kind of a pain in the neck. And so then you get your family together a little bit, and you're a little clued in then, at least a bit, because you've done something difficult that's actually difficult. You're a little wiser, so then maybe you could put a tentative finger out beyond the family and try to change some little thing without wrecking it. It's like, Our society is complex, and we teach our students that they could just fix it. It's like, go fix a military helicopter and see how far you get with that. It's like, what are you gonna do? You're like a chimp with a wrench. Whack! Oh, look, it's better. It's like, no, it's not better. Things are complicated, and to fix things is really hard. And you have to be like a golden tool to fix things, and you're not. So, and that's the other message of the West. It's like, how do you overcome the suffering of life? I'm not saying it's only the message of the West. How do you overcome the suffering of life? Be a better person. That's how you do it. Well, that's hard. It takes responsibility. And I think, you know, if you said to someone, you want to have a meaningful life? Everything you do matters. That's the definition of a meaningful life. But everything you do matters. So you're going to have to carry that with you. Or do you want to just forget about the whole meaning thing, and then you don't have any responsibility because who the hell cares? And you can wander through life doing whatever you want, gratifying impulsive desires for how useful that's going to be. And you're stuck in meaninglessness, but you don't have any responsibility. Which one do you want? Well,
that was dope, man.
Would you?
That guy's delivery was fucking crazy. Either he was really fucked up or he's just a fucked up person.
He's not really fucked up. He's if anything, I'm pretty sure he's like he's disciplined as a motherfucker. Like,
yo, his delivery is crazy. It's almost like a stand-up comedian. He's like,
well, he's been a professor up in Canada, so
he's like quirky. You could tell. Like, and it took a minute for me to read that because I'm like, yo, what the fuck? The way this dude is saying this shit is crazy.
But there's something in the way that he says it that you could tell he's sincere, right?
Oh, he's definitely sincere, but it makes it more human, like, you know what I mean? It makes it more believable. Yeah. The way he's saying it, it's like a conversation with you and me where we're serious, but we're almost joking around. We both laughed a couple times just the way he said it.
Yeah.
But the shit he was saying made a lot of sense, you know?
Yeah.
The suffering. Life is suffering. Life is pain. And until you understand that you need to accept that and keep moving forward and stop feeling sorry for yourself, you're going to have a miserable life.
Yeah.
And when you realize it's not about you.
Yeah. And you're going to fix everything up that everyone else wants you to fix up, and you're going to wonder why the fuck you're still miserable, right? Because there's certain things that you haven't done with yourself yet, and then you all of a sudden, this is where people get, where it's like, oh, I can't believe they killed themselves. They had this, everything was all good on the outside, but like no one has been even clued in the slightest what their trials and tribulations on the inside have been like, right? The only journey that you ever need to master is the one between you and your mind, right? Like mastering your own mind, the conversation that you have with yourself. So it's like suffering isn't, there's a lot of people that maybe they're not going through these tangibly physical sufferings where you're like, okay, that's something that's horrible, but they're suffering on the inside from other things.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I went through it when I was how old was I? In 93. I was born in 84. In 93, I remember this. My mother took me to Friendly's. I got my first chicken and cheese quesadilla. She said, I'm going to visit my parents in Georgia. They're not doing well. And she never came back.
Really?
She went to go visit them. She ended up staying there and leaving us. Left 3. You know, you had 3 kids in your belly for 9 months each. And then you just dipped on us. And never came back. You know?
You spoke to her that day? Or she told someone else she was leaving?
No, we sat down. She took us out for lunch. She said she had a ticket to go visit her parents. They're not doing well. And she just never came back. We still kept in touch like once a month or so.
Who were you staying with?
My father took care of us from then on. And
did he know that was coming?
I don't think he knew it was coming. I mean, she was an alcoholic. He was trying to get her to stop drinking and all that stuff. Like, we went through a lot of shit. But then 3 years later, she ended up getting murdered. That lifestyle.
Damn, I did not know that, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, so I went through it, and then after that, I kept it all. I was the type of person to keep it bottled up. I was 12 years old when my mother got murdered. So that happened in 96. And so that pain and suffering that he's talking about, I could definitely relate. And I always blame myself for it. Like, oh, I could have done something different or whatever. You know, when I was younger, I was suicidal. I tried killing myself, I tried hanging myself, but I never had the balls to do it. It was more of like a cry for attention.
Did you talk about it? Did you have close friends at the time that you would at least verbalize some of this pain and suffering with?
No. I kept it bottled up. I felt sorry for myself.
You're 12, man.
Yeah, I had friends, but not real tight like that. Where, you know what? I wasn't emotional. Now I'm emotional. If I say, "Yo, I love you," whether it's one of my friends or my wife or my family, my kids, whatever, I tell them I love them. Like, you got to make the moment matter and say how you feel. Don't keep that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you got a problem with someone, be straight up with them. Let them know you got a problem with them. Don't go telling somebody else and then it gets back to them. You got a problem with them. Resolve it or whatever. Let them know how you feel and keep it moving. Like, don't keep things bottled up. It's not worth it, because that just makes yourself suffer longer.
Yeah, plus when you get bottled up to a certain extent, then nature takes over and you lose your shit. And then next thing you know, you're trying to explain yourself after you've lost your shit, when at the end of the day, the only way to explain that is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean none of that, but I was at a point where nature took over. I bottled it up too long, and by the time I finally let it out, that was my shit growing up, like fighting or whatever. Like, by the time it finally happened, it was not good. And I think a lot of people would say, like, oh yeah, like, you know, I'm cool, but when it finally happens, like, you don't want to be around me, right? And depending on what that is, that's not good. Yeah, you do. I've woken up like blacked out after something crazy happened, and it's like,
you wake up on the hood and on Gary Road.
You do. I mean, that's facts. And it's like,
honey.
So you gotta get it out, and then So how does that play out now for you? I mean, you're what, 34 now?
Yeah. Yup. How does what play out exactly?
So the way that you look at the situation
with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that happened. What happened was my father, along that whole thing with her moving away, whatever, her parents, both of them ended up passing away while she was down there. So she's, you know what I mean? But as far as her not really keeping in touch with us was crazy. So my father he had his own business doing construction. He ran his own business. He would make sure we got to school. My brother wouldn't go to school because he was sick all the time because he thought my dad was going to leave us too. And
Is your brother older or younger?
Younger. My sister's older than me. My brother's younger.
Okay.
And so yeah, we started seeing counselors. I saw I think it was 13 different counselors. Like, I was fucked up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And what ended up helping me was writing. I started writing. She died in 96. The first time I started writing rhymes was after seeing Inspector Deck's hip-hop quotable for Triumph. A bomb atomically, Socrates' philosophies and high prophecies can't define it. Why be dropping these mockeries lyrically performed on robberies, flee with the lottery, possibly they spotted me. When I seen that in the source, I was like, yo, that's crazy. So I started writing to vent, like how I wanted to kill the guy that murdered her, you know what I mean? Like, so that it was anger built up, you know? Because of that suffering.
Yeah.
You know, they kept passing that baton off, man. That was a good way to get it open. So, yeah, I started writing. And then I kind of came to an awakening when The Secret came out. And The Secret wasn't even big at the time. It was like someone burned a DVD for one of my boys and he showed me it. And that whole law of attraction. I'm like, yo, life... Everybody has a free will. Why am I choosing to allow some circumstances that are out of my hands, that I can't control, that are over with, that I can't change, to control my happiness?
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. It's done. Like, I can't change it. It's done. I can learn from it and move forward. And that whole law of attraction about thinking about what you want to come into existence.
Like manifestation.
And it works.
It definitely works.
I mean, that's
Glad
how
you're bringing it up. I mean, 100% it
that's
works.
my life, man. I've been trying to tell people that's been my whole purpose, like
Since
through this
Hush.
music. Since then. Even a little before that, like my whole purpose was just trying to inspire people. And one of the reasons why I left Hush is creative differences, because I felt like he wasn't on the same page as that, which is fine. Like that was the road he went on.
But that was still the page that y'all started with.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, I started before that. I started.
No, but I mean like the mental, right? Even when Fox News did that piece on y'all, which I could like cut and play right now, but like even when they did that, it was like the way that they presented it was like, do what you can with what you got. You know, this is about real life.
We both, me and Doug at the time, we were both on trying to inspire people with our circumstances, because his situation, the way he was born, and trying to overcome it. Like when I first met him, I was inspired by him. The way,
I mean, that's what I was thinking about when we were playing that Jordan Peterson and Nick's beat, is like, you want to talk about people that everyone's going to have their challenges there and after and during or whatever, but like you want to talk about people that just go like, fuck that, it is what it is. And like if life is about suffering, well, I guess I got some work to do through this suffering. I immediately had thought of him. That's how the first time I ever had known of you was through Michelle Sicosio, rest in peace.
Oh wow.
Yeah, her and I were like, that was the first person that I've ever loved without there was no physical relationship, but like I love that girl. And
I remember the last time I saw her, man. She came up here. We had Doug and I had a show up here, and somewhere in Mass up by Boston. It was with
Worcester.
Where was it? It was near Tufts University, somewhere over there. But it was with Papoose, like when Papoose was with K-Slate.
I think she told me about that. Damn.
And we brought her with us. We brought her.
She told me about that
show. To I remember the last time I saw her was at a house party in East Windsor. You were probably there, and I ended up finding out I was the oldest person there. I was like 21 or 22. One of my boys brought me there, and I found out all the people in the house were like 18. And I was like, yo, we got to get out of here,
fucking
man.
charge waiting to happen.
Yeah, thinking that I brought all the booze there or whatever.
Oh, word up.
And then the cops showed up, and I ended up pissing on the person's hardwood floor in their living room. I don't know who it was.
Wait, were you fucked up or?
I got there fucked up.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah, so me and my boy were like, yo, we gotta take a piss. There was a cop interrogating somebody in the bathroom, and I pissed on someone's hardwood floor. I don't know if you were at the party.
I wasn't there. At least I didn't hear about that.
Another cop pulled up. We saw him walk in the house, and we crept open the front door just a little bit. We ran to the car, threw the Captain Morgan out the window. Took off, man, and I got out. So all right, but my point was that was the last time I saw Michelle, man.
Yeah.
It was at that party, but rest in peace. Sorry,
but that's how I got turned on to because that was
a horrible story. Sorry about that.
No, it don't fucking matter. That was hilarious. Shit, listen, once you get thrown back into the like under and at 21 years of age, the way life is for when everybody looks back on it is like shaking their head while they tell the story. So it don't matter. But Michelle and I, that was still when when you call the house and the brother, the sister, the mother would pick up the phone, you'd ask for the person, and then you'd tie up the fucking phone line for 3 hours.
Yep.
I mean, I always and Michelle was someone I talked to for hours, and she had told me about Doug, everything that y'all two had done, and she would also just talk about so for everyone who doesn't know, right, and it might be better for you to say this, what were his disabilities, which he was born with?
He was born with no arms and legs. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an understatement just while you hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So this is good that we're talking right now, because a lot of people don't know my story, how I even started doing this music thing or even got to where I am. And some people might just follow me online or whatever, not know any background. So this is dope, man. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like social media personally a lot, because it's a lot of people like me, look at me.
Yeah,
I'm taking a shit, eating a fucking Big Mac on the toilet. Look at me, hashtag selfie. I'm not into all that. So this is dope that we're having a real conversation that's gonna get out there. So I started off writing in '97 after that Wu-Tang thing. then I came out with like a solo joint in high school. I started DJing and stuff like that.
Were you in Windsor Locks in high school?
I was in Suffield. Yeah, I went through all high school in Suffield. That was after my mother passed away and my dad got remarried. And then I linked up with this cat, Devon, who's from Springfield, and he ended up moving to Suffield. But he lived in Enfield for a little bit too. So we knew of each other, and we both rhymed. So he used to come over to my parents' crib in Suffield, and they had like a shed, and I set up like a studio in the shed, and we dropped this like single in high school over like the Pharoah Monch Simon Says beat.
Yep.
And we were just rhyming back and forth, we were on some lyrical. We were Cannabis fans.
Yeah.
We were heavy Cannabis and Eminem
and
fans.
not the weed for anyone that's listening. Yeah.
Cannot bust, man.
The rapper.
Who
heavy lyrical.
Yeah, who I've drove around in my Subaru hatchback multiple times. Cannabis, man. Like I got stories for days, bro. Well, anyway, wow, how do I stay focused? All right, so boom, high school, linked up with Devon. We started a group. We went back and forth, rhyming, dropped a couple CDs. Then I found out these two kids from Windsor Locks, Doug and this cat Jermaine, they had a group. So we kind of joined forces and we started a group called Acolytes. And we were all just fans of hip hop on some lyrical shit, just trying to bring conscious music with punchlines. You know what I mean? Because that was when hip hop kind of started getting watered down, you know. And so we dropped a couple joints. We ended up going on Howard Stern and Maury Povich. We were still in high school at the time.
Is that around the same time you like opened for Wyclef and shit?
Yeah. Yup. Back, this is 01, 02. Man, we were supposed to go on Howard Stern when we were 16. This was in 2001.
Damn, 16.
We were 16. We went on Maury Povich, and then we ended up going to Howard Stern. All four of us.
And that was back before Maury was actually just about the fucking pregnancy test and shit, you know?
Yeah.
And cheating and
when we went on Maury, it was Doug telling his story about his life. You know what I mean? Dealing with the adversities he had of having no arms and legs and being born and getting adopted and stuff like that. And then he brought us out as his group. So that was the opportunity we got because of him telling his story. So that was dope. We were 16. And then same thing with Howard Stern. It was they pitched that story with him. And then we went on there and they played a couple of our songs and stuff and freestyled at the end. It went on TV. We never saw it. I remember Doug and I went in Guitar Center probably in like 2004. Someone came up to us like, "Yo, I saw you on Howard Stern last night." We're like, "What?" Like we never saw the episode. It came out, but we never saw it.
That's right.
That's a long time ago. So so we went on Howard Stern when we were 16, but Doug's parents didn't want him to go on because they thought they were going to exploit him. So the rest of us still went down to Howard Stern anyways. And we were in the green room, and we're chilling in the green room, and this cat comes up, "Hey, guys, what are you doing?" Tight pants, blah, blah, blah. "Oh, you're rappers, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you got a CD?" Boom, let's do a CD, start talking to him, chop it up. Then my boy goes, "Yo, that's Dave Chappelle." I said, "Who's that?"
Oh, shit.
I said, "Yo, that's Dave Chappelle, man." I was like, "Who the fuck is Dave Chappelle?" Like, this is before Dave had his show.
It's probably around Nutty Professor time.
He wasn't nowhere near what he became, you know what I mean? So I didn't even know who he was at the time. And we're chilling with him for like a half hour. Just us and him in a room. It was dope. So then we ended up going back on Howard Stern when we were 18 and the show aired. And then the group, we just had different, we were young, you know what I mean? Everybody had their own purpose and mission, whatever, and their own idea how things are going to work out. And I think all of us as a collective didn't think it was going to take as long as it was, you know what I mean? And we got impatient, and you know, everyone has their differences, you know what I mean? We went different ways. I started doing my solo thing, and Doug kept coming around, "Yo, man, let's work. So we ended up starting that Hush thing, Help Us Save Hip Hop. That was I mean, I gotta tell,
so there's a couple things I need to thank you for, and I think since we're on this topic, I gotta thank you for Hush. Like, any of the work that all you guys did together to put that in, there was something for me in my adolescent years that when I was first getting turned on to hip hop, which was through Tupac, and because there was parts of Tupac that voiced like the struggle, that voiced the better man type of thing. And because I've always loved and respect hip hop, because I felt like I always grew up struggling, and I felt like these were some people that also did, so naturally there was certain ways to relate. And around the same time that you were saying it was starting to get watered down, or starting to the game was starting to change, you know, I'd love to even talk to you about the differences in the way that the music is distributed now, which definitely plays a huge role in that, not just because of the money that the artists make, but because the way that you consume it. Or you don't go to the store and buy the album that you were thinking about and then listen to the album 3 times all the way through because you already know that the best songs are never the ones that are singles, and you go through it, you know, all of that shit changed. And to hear about Hush at a young age and how the acronym naturally was Help Us Save Hip Hop was just off the rip, definitely made a difference in my life. It definitely kind of put me in a position where, regardless of whether it was a hobby or I got serious with rap and hip hop and how I wrote or whatever, it was a Tourage type of moment where I understood that shared values happen to be the soul in hip hop, the creation of it, the what it really means and why you are actually doing it. So I really gotta thank you for that. You know, that made a big difference for me. I'm just thinking about it, you know, like, and I knew y'all were local, and I was going through with Nick, and we were looking at some of the stuff, like your Fallon interview and just the Fox News interview and everything like that, and it was just like, yo, back then, that was you guys were starting, the momentum was starting to pick up, the ball was starting to roll, and regardless of whether or not someone likes your music, which any real individual should be the judge of, which is that maybe I don't even fuck with BigStat, maybe I don't even like how he sounds, but
Gringo
things
Domingo.
like, right?
Fucking gringo.
Yeah, then maybe they're hating.
Yeah.
But the way that I know Stat now through this interview, or the way that I know Stat because he was originally started with hip hop with something like Help Us Save It, right? Because you and I aren't that old, and when you really look at hip hop's creation, the fact that we could even say something like I'm a Biggie or I'm a Pac fan means that we're less than a lifetime away from the get. You know what I mean? We're so close. The evolution of all this is so much more than the small little breath that we're going to take within this picture. So it made a big difference to me. Like, I've always been an Atmosphere fan. I've always been fan of, like, you know, and I really respect you for that too. You know, one of the reasons why I love Atmosphere, aside from his wordplay, is he is a great example, just like you are, of someone that, regardless of those things that you touch, like Jimmy Fallon or being on the news or being in XXL or going on Howard Stern, at the end of the day, you realize that you have a normal life that you got to master too, and regular responsibilities and
Children's.
And kids and shit now, right? Yeah. And you got to factor all that time in. So then you have a little bit of time to, you know, passions versus priorities, to go at your passions, but you're still
that's the album name in itself.
It.
Passions versus priorities, man.
Dude, that's what I ended my radio shit on back when I was on the radio.
That's dope.
And that's the other reason why I need to thank you, because one of the best times in my life was when Jizza shouted out my show, Samson and the Delilah Disco, 91.1 WMUA, and he went to Pearl Street. I hit you up, and you put me in touch with Sophie Chang. And we were talking, and I don't even think that's the reason why necessarily I got there, but it added that little bit of spice into the journey that was like, yo, it's gonna happen, and it's a possibility. And then he was drunk as fuck, yo.
He drinks a lot of wine, man.
He was so drunk, but he shouted out the show. So dope, I know I went on a little tangent there, but I needed to thank you for that, because
appreciate it. I remember talking on the phone with you that night, and you're like, yo, man, can you get me in touch? I'm trying to get Jizz on the show, whatever. So I hit up Method Man's manager, 7, and he gave me Sophie's number, whatever.
Word. Yeah. That meant a lot to me, man. It really meant a lot to me. And the way that the radio show, I mean, back then, and just like how I feel now, you're never going to get nothing that you don't ask for.
Absolutely.
So first and foremost, you got to ask for it.
Can't be scared, man.
Can't be scared.
You're already shooting yourself in the foot if you're scared.
And, you know, we made fake passes, fake press passes. I laminated them shits. The WMUA 91.1, all official, and then we just hung them on our necks. No one gave that shit to us. And we went in there, and then you just got to act like you're supposed to be there.
Absolutely.
You know, and with respect, obviously, you know. But yeah, thank you very much for all that. So like a lot of your journey that you have no idea, since this is the first time we really sitting down, really did amount to a lot of what I am and what I think about and how I am now.
That's dope.
So,
man. Cause to me, looking back at all that, I know it made me who I am, but it's just such a small little glimpse of where I'm at now. You know what I mean? So
the ripples in the pond are a funny thing when you drop the stone, right? Where they get to.
Absolutely, man. That's crazy. That's a crazy way of putting it. That's dope.
So what happened after Hush?
So yeah, Doug and I, we split ways.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to keep in mind his situation, and he lived with me for like 8 years, and I helped take care of him. So I wanted to move forward, eventually start a family, all that, and creatively we're on different wavelengths. You know what I mean? So I wanted to keep going with more of a positive, conscious type of thing, and he wanted to do his thing, whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, we went separate ways, and but the way I am is I don't dwell on shit. I don't hold grudges. That's all weight, you know what I mean, on my shoulders. And everyone told me he kept coming at me talking shit, and I just, it's a closed chapter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I see him, it's all love. Like I don't even care what he said about me or whatever. It's all love. I don't care. That doesn't affect me. It has nothing to do with me. Like it is not gonna hurt me. Like we had
it only hurts you when you hold it, even when you hold it and it's not that big of a deal.
I let go. It's a closed chapter. I have 100 chapters after that one. You know what I mean? Much love to him, man. I hope he's doing well. And you gotta just let go and keep moving forward, man. It's all pages in the book, man.
When you're going this way, here's the past. It's only going that way. Like, it's not even relevant.
Nah, man. Like, you got to keep... And the other thing about the game is, like, it keeps changing. It's changed so much. I used to burn
Dude,
CDs.
you kind of got the shit end of the stick. Not to be a dick.
I came in at a bad time.
You came in at a bad time. Like, the fucking housing market at 07 is, like, how you came into hip-hop.
That's when I bought my crib, man, right then. I'm still in the same house. That's when I bought my house, man. Yo, they gave us like whatever. Yeah, it's a shitty situation. But yeah. Because I was like the first cat in high school that had a CD burner. And now with a computer.
Yo, I used to
like
also CDs through the burner.
The old school CD burners.
Yeah.
The dual deck. So I used to make mixtapes and sell them for $8. The teachers were buying them off of me and shit.
Word. Of your shit? I used to just hustle other people's shit.
No, other people's shit and my shit. I would do like a 2-for-1. Oh, my bad. I would sell them for $8 each, but I would sell my shit and the mixtape for $15.
Bro, in one of your songs, you were talking about getting a paper out in 5th grade or something like that.
Yeah.
I was in the same situation.
My world,
and this is what you hear coming out in these stories of like, I was hustling CD. You got a CD burner and something's dropping and you ain't up in that bitch for at least 2 for $5 and each for $3 in your fucking classrooms. Then you're missing out. Like, what are you doing?
It was fun, man. And it was crazy because I learned that you have to work for anything you want in life at an early... My father made me work tobacco when I was... I did the paper route thing when I was 12 or whatever. And then 14, I started working tobacco for 2 years till I could get a job.
Talk about discipline. You're waking up at like 5. And for everyone listening that gets it twisted, because we're from Connecticut, so we're used to talking about tobacco being a job you could have at a younger age. For most people, they're not. They think it just Jamaicans or Mexican. Like, yo, this is a Connecticut thing. Mad tobacco. And if you were grinding...
the hardest fucking job you'll ever get in your life. You're crawling through the stone and dirt, picking the weeds off the bottom of the leaves for 2 weeks straight, right? Just to get the weeds out, and then the next 2 weeks you pick the bottom leaves, and the next 2 weeks you pick the next 2 leaves. Then for a week straight you got to wrap string around it, cutting your hands all up. You're 14 years old,
but sticking together.
But yo, where else are you gonna make 3 G's in the summer when you're 14 years old? That's how I bought I bought my turntables the first year.
Word.
I spent $1,200 on the turntables and the mixer started DJing, and then the next year when I was 15, I copped the 4-track, the digital 4-track. But I copped the car when I was 15, but I wouldn't have been able to buy that shit if I didn't work tobacco. You know? That shit is hard fucking work.
And if you just didn't have the gusto in the first place.
Yeah, man.
There's a different type of gusto that comes with anyone that gets a paper out or works tobacco for that matter. You know what I'm saying? So then after Hush, after all that, so like one of the things that I really wanted to get into with you and kind of talk about, and the same thing I was talking about with Atmosphere, and that's you got to balance a regular life, is like
Didn't he have
passions
a song
and
called
priorities.
Didn't he have a song called "Find a Balance" or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. For sure. Yeah. So, but just in general, right? Like you already know these things that you want as a man. You want a family. You want to be better in these directions. Whatever. Now you're. Like most people are only pursuing that other job, which for you is what, like construction, manual labor, and shit like that, right?
Yeah, oh shit, man, I was about to fall. I don't want to drop that
no.
shit. Yeah, I do construction. I'm in the Carpenters Union, do framing, sheetrock. Got to put up 60, 70 sheets of sheetrock a day, 5/8.
So everyone that's doing that, they
shit's
don't
like 100 pounds each, and you got to do 60, 70 sheets a day. Bang, bang, bang. That shit, you wake home, you get home and you're fucking wiped. Then you get side jobs on top of that, trying to get extra bread. So like the whole last week, I'm working till 9 o'clock at night. I wake up at 4 in the morning, work the regular job, get out, work another job till 9 o'clock at night. Then I work on music for 3-4 hours in the studio. Like so, that's a grind now.
So one of the places that I'm at in my life right now also has to do, and every time you change a job, even if it's the same theme type of job, we all need time to get into the grooves before, and you know that you can calendar your passionate time when you're going to do whatever, but at the end of the day, your geniuses show up when they want to, and that's a very hard thing to time. So now you got a family, now you got a job, now you're doing all this. How did, was that difficult? Like, how was that struggle for you in your own head when you go for, you're counting week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. I've only done seriously maybe 5-10 hours of the studio time, which I already know my grind from before then. That ain't shit. And then like the pumping the brakes and being in the moment part, like how was that struggle right up until getting to where you're at now?
Yo, it's crazy. I'm glad you said that. I've never heard anybody ever talk about that. Like your creativity comes and goes when it wants, because that's something I struggle with. That Heart of a Lion I worked on for probably 4 years, which is crazy because it's only part-time. So people are like, oh, you ain't make it yet, you were so close, you ain't make it yet. But it's like, I know in my heart I'm only doing this part of a part-time. Like, so if I actually did this 10-12 hours a day like I'm doing my regular job, this shit would be fucking crazy. But
the fruits don't show that, and that's everyone's heads thinking on Instagram with that quick, and they're judging, right? So
people trying to alter shit to make it look like they're doing the shit they're not. But I'm real. I don't give a fuck about that. You could perceive me however you want to. I don't fucking care. It is what it is. You know what I mean? As long as I'm happy. So,
but that's hard to do in itself.
So yeah, as far as the creativity and stuff like that, I struggle with that with Heart of a Lion. Like I was a perfectionist, and it was like the only time I really got time to write was driving to work. So I would go 4 bars on the way to work, 4 bars.
And were you just memorizing whatever it was you were talking about?
That's it, man. I would freestyle in the car, record it into my phone. Matter of fact, I started working with these kids, Fyrex, out of Amsterdam. They're these EDM
and
cats.
I seen that you got some following overseas.
My following overseas is way bigger than it is here. It's crazy.
That's what I told Nick too, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, damn, I gotta ask him about that.
So what happened was
Pyrex?
Fyrex. Pyrex. So I dropped Don't Quit Your Day Job Labor Day, 2009. 2009, yeah. So what's that? 9 years old now, yeah. And that was hosted by Redman. And then I dropped one in 2012, Paid My Dues. So when SoundCloud started popping, I dropped all the acapellas for Pay My Dues because I saw there's a lot of producers on there, and I had a remix contest. So I started. Even to this day, I'm still getting 10, 15
That's a good
remixes.
idea.
I get 10, 15 remixes a day.
Really?
Cats in Russia, Spain, Ukraine, all over the place, and a lot of them are. But these kids, Fyrex, came up to me with a couple EDM
shit.
Yeah, EDM remixes. I did a Hands on the Wheel freestyle over that Schoolboy Q record with Rakim's son, Tom L. And I put the acapella out, and these kids came up with like this house EDM type of remix.
I think I've seen a video on your Insta or something like that, and I was just like, they're going. They were going in like they were sharing the heart of the Heart line. Yeah.
Yo, the bus shit. All right, so that's how I met these kids, right? Yep. So I was like, yo, these kids are dope, man. These two young kids from Amsterdam. When I met them, they were like 19 and 20. So I started working on projects with them, and they put me onto this. There's this thing in the culture in Norway. It's called russing.
Russing.
So when these kids are about to graduate in Norway, they're 4 years of high school, they get groups. You know how everyone has
rushing
a
or
Russ,
okay.
Russe.
Word,
It's called
okay.
russing. Like
Okay.
they russ, whatever it's called. It's part of their culture. So throughout high school, they get a group. You know how everybody got cliques, and then they come up with a theme. Like one might be The Matrix. That was one of the themes.
Okay.
Another one might be what do we do? Like some Russian circus. And another one, they got all these different themes. Or the Watchmen, the Marvel thing.
Gotcha.
So every clique, it throughout all of Norway, and then every year they have a festival. They have 5 festivals throughout the whole country, and at these festivals, throughout those 4 years, these cliques with their names, whatever, they dare each other. They wear these red and blue suits, and they get patches every time. It's like a truth or dare. You look it up on YouTube, Russ, Russe in Norway. You can see these 2 chicks licking the floor of fucking McDonald's all the way across, and then they get a patch on their shirt, whatever.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, crazy shit. And then, like, you gotta fuck 25 different dudes in 25 days.
Jesus.
And the cops are all cool with it. It's just a part of their culture. Like, there was when I was out there, because I went out there and performed at the festival.
Yeah.
And there was a thing in the news about the kids need to stop having sex in the roundabouts because it's causing traffic jams and shit. Like, they're crazy out there. So what happened was these cliques, whatever, these groups, they'll start saving their money. There'd be 30 kids in each group.
Okay.
And they pool all their money together, and it's like an organization. It's really dope because it actually teaches them things about life too, like that. So there'll be a kid that's in charge of all the graphic design. There's a kid that they have party buses that they make, these groups.
Word.
So every group has different party buses.
Okay,
so they save about $300,000 each group throughout their 4 years with 30 kids, and they pool all the money, and they buy a party bus. They put their graphic all the way around it. The one I went on had like a $40,000 system in it.
It's a nice bus.
The one that I was on was a double bus. It was Watchmen / Neo Tokyo.
Didn't even really look like a bus in the video.
Yo, their fucking sound system in there was as loud as the one at the venue. It was crazy. You had to put earplugs in to even go in there.
So they were doing they were remixing your shit.
That's how I met those kids. But those kids started producing songs, like the theme song for these groups that were russing. So they would come up with their clique and their name, and then I would help them come up with their theme song. Word. So they go on their party bus, and everybody in their clique.
Oh, so then they're going extra hard, regardless of who's saying it, but it happened to be you.
Exactly. So I started doing theme songs for them, and they'd pay us a little dough, whatever, and they ended up paying us to go out there and perform it. So at the festival, it was like 10,000.
Flew you out and shit?
Flew me out, put me up, whatever, and Firex too. Firex set it all up. Much love to those dudes, man. Jasper and Better and out in Amsterdam. That was their first time in Norway too. We ended up performing in Fredrikstad in Norway, and it was right on the border of Sweden. And there's this huge lake, and there's this mountain with a fortress on the top, and that was to keep the Swedish from invading. And we ended up performing right at the castle part up there on top of there. That's where the festival was. The shit was insane. 10,000 fucking people. So, and my point was about the creativity was. One of the theme songs I did for them that started blowing up was I don't even remember the name of it. Just look up BigStat Firex on Spotify. You'll come up with it. One of them got almost 1 million fucking plays, and all I did was freestyle a 16-bar verse, 8 bars on the way to work, 8 bars on the way back. Send it to Firex that night. I recorded it in my phone. Then I recorded in the studio. Sent it to Firex. They chopped it up into 2 8-bar verses. Took the last line of my verse, made that the chorus, put a delay on it. That was the chorus. And the shit got almost 1 million views. And my hip hop shit here gets, a couple thousand, whatever, 50,000, whatever.
I'm a fan of I wanted to ask you about your creative process too. And in a way, some of how I found my creative process to be, and some of how I don't know, but I feel like Method Man's is too, goes a little something like, hear the beat, freestyle, and maybe you have a dope person, whether that's someone in a different country that's trying to make a theme song, or it's a dope producer that's just working on an album that then takes your freestyle and either asks you to redo it, or let's just take these parts and make it into the chorus and tighten it up, and we need you to add a little bit of I kind of always like that because I can freestyle. So sometimes I'll be beating myself up over the discipline that I have to sit down and write.
Overthinking shit, right?
But then next thing you know, you do discipline yourself, you sit down and write, and you realize that whether it's overthinking or whatever, that if you even think about the line that you wrote right before, it fucks up the whole next line. Something about freestyling, that flow vibe, that being in the moment vibe, that like the blunt is a magic wand, I'm the magician, and it just comes in, and you look and you're like 40 minutes later, what the fuck? It's been 40 minutes, and there's and then meanwhile, everything that you've said throughout that has a different type of like feeling and vibe that that's harder to manifest without doing it out loud first. Right. Next thing you know, the freestyled line sounds better than the rehearsed lines.
It's kind of like acting. You know what I mean? When you're acting it, you're getting your whole personality. You become that role. So when you're freestyling, it's like you're already that role. Like you're acting it out. Where you're writing it down, it's already like preconceived, and it's like you're trying to overthink it and figure out how you want to act it out and stuff. I think that's why Wayne stopped writing or whatever. Wayne crumbled up all his papers and said, I'm not doing this no more. And I've done that with some songs where...
You good with writing, though?
I'm getting better because...
it helps me to hear that.
Because, all right, so writing, like you said, it's a creative thing where... You can't to turn on and off the switch is hard because it's not like, okay, all right, Gary, you gotta go sheetrock this kitchen and do the ceiling in this room. All right, boom, get the screw gun, give me the knife and the fucking tape measure. All right, done. Because it's physical, like But the mental shit, tapping into it and catching the vibe, and then it's almost the best stuff comes to me when I'm not thinking, like.
Exactly. Yeah, I think, and that's
Against the Grain. I don't know if you saw that video, Against the Grain, the one with Kill the Alarm, produced by Royce Music Group, seeing Ralph and shit.
Nah, but I put it in the timetable of contents.
So that was a joint they sent me with Garen. Big shout out to Garen. I talked to him today from Kill the Alarm. Amazing, super talented singer, songwriter, guitar player. Amazing. He lives in Nashville right now. He did Diet Pepsi commercial, Diet Coke commercial, something like that, Levi's commercial. He's incredible, written for a bunch of big artists, and they sent me a song with him on the hook, and I was like, yo, I love shit that grabs your emotions. That's what makes me want to write. It gives you that ugly face music. That's the label I got now. So that ugly face, as soon as you hear it, it's just So I would try to write to it.
That filth face.
I tried to write to it, and I was like, my expectation was so high, I couldn't come up with anything. I spent weeks come up with 4 lines, and I'm like, it's not good enough. So I got a studio in my basement. This sounds stupid. I started doing laundry and shit. Boom, throwing the clothes in the dryer. All of a sudden, lately I've been stumbling. Lately I've been fumbling, falling into pieces. I'm crumbling. The shit just started coming to me because the beat was still playing in the background when I was sitting down in front of the computer trying to write, and nothing was coming out. Then when I started throwing the laundry in the dryer, I wasn't thinking anymore. And the shit just, boom, came to me. And then I wrote the whole shit, 2 verses, boom, right there. So it's weird. But the one thing I'm learning now, it's like working out. It's a discipline. So the more you work out, the easier it is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The more likely
I see you hashtagging the gym and shit up there, man. I see you doing anything. So the more you do it, the easier it is. Like Pay My Dues, I wrote and recorded that whole entire mixtape in 1 week. Because I didn't have work. I was laid off.
And were you somewhat hungry because of the fact that you had been, what we were talking about before, like 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 weeks ago, I've only spent this much time doing my craft. Had there been like a build up and then you had a week off and then you're like, fuck it. I got a week off and there was
no, my problem now is, all right, I got to go to sleep eventually because I got to go to work. I got to wake up at 4 in the morning.
Ain't that a good problem? Ain't that a positive problem?
So my boy, shout out to G Wiz. He came through my crib. He's always pushing me. He came through the crib. He lives in Willimantic. He drive all the way. He would go to work and then drive all the way to Enfield, which is like hella far. And he won't even come over till 9 o'clock. He looks out, like waits till the kids go to sleep, whatever. And then we'll zone out until we're like, all right, yo. Yeah, and then he got to drive back all the way to Willimantic and go to work the next day. So, like, the other night we did that, and it's like I still got to get up at 4 in the morning. He dipped at, like, 1:30, 2 in the morning, but that's just a part of the process now. So that Paid My Dues, that window I had that week, I didn't have to go, I got to go to sleep. I would if I was in the zone, I never shut it off. I just stayed out, and if I had trouble with some lines, put it aside, keep writing. I've chose some lines, put it aside, keep writing. All right, now I'll come back, I'll tighten this shit up. Blah, 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 blah. All right, let's record it. Boom. But I would write and record and mix all that shit myself. But
when you're writing, are you freestyling it out and then you're like, let me write that, or are you just writing and then singing it to yourself in your head?
It's different every time, man.
Yeah,
it's different every time. Like, that paid my dues, I will come up with, like, what I pride myself on is painting a picture that it's just words. So you got to come up with a description so vivid that somebody pictures something in their mind, and that's what's going to make them remember what you're saying. And especially what I like doing, being an MC, not just a white rapper, fucking coming up with words and word schemes that no one's done before, and shit that you didn't know that rhymed, like Tyrannosaurus Rex, Alanis Morissette, like some shit. You're like, what the fuck? Never heard that shit before.
Got me on that, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I like doing shit like that because that also challenges yourself. If you're not challenging yourself, where you're like, oh shit, I can't believe that I wrote that shit after you're done with a 16. How do you expect anyone else to be like, yo? Like, if you can't impress yourself, you're not gonna impress anybody else.
No, not at all.
So you have to be hard enough on yourself where you know if it's good enough or not. People put out a bunch of bullshit, but deep down inside, they know that shit sucks.
Yeah.
They know that shit's whack.
Yeah.
But they're like, maybe I'll put it out. See, maybe someone will like it. That's corny. Like, be your own judge. You know if it's good enough or not. You know what I mean? You go to paint this room and you're painting the walls and you're getting paint all over the ceiling and go, let me see if my mom likes this shit. Like, no, that's just trash. Like, fucking fix that shit. You know what I mean? It's the same shit. Like, take pride. People don't take pride in the craft. I can't say people don't take. There's a lot of great music out there, but you need to take pride in what you're doing, no matter what you're doing in life. Like, be proud of what you're doing.
Keep
whether
perfecting.
It's work, whether it's music, whether it's painting a picture, whether it's shaving her bush so it's a Playboy logo, whatever it is. Like, whatever it is, take pride in what you're doing so you're proud of it, because this moment is all you have, and people need to remember, or you should want people to remember this moment.
Yeah, that's
Whatever
like that shit. Everything that you do matters.
It does.
Right, so that made me think of a couple things. So, if you were looking at, just like if you were listening to a good hip hop song, if you're looking at two different paintings, you could kind of, there's almost like something in us that is able to tell, whether you're listening or looking, that this person either believes in what they're saying more or is really into their craft more, whatever it is. Like, one thing I've begun to notice is that, especially for those people that say that they're like thought leaders, or if you're a leader in the hip hop game, or if you're like a more famous painter, is that once someone is able to be true to themselves to a point where the criticism of themselves to themselves while they're doing their craft becomes apparent, that this is someone who's actually really thought about it. This is someone that sat down and reworked these 4 lines for a fucking entire night, just even if it's just 4 lines, just so that it sounds right, and that the people themselves will follow other people that work harder. You know, I feel like later on in my life, I've really begun to see that regardless of talent level, that people love a person that is almost in a way addicted to becoming better themselves. Does that make sense?
I think that when you're doing whatever you're doing, whatever energy you put into it is what transpires later on. So if you're doing something that you love, if you're doing something you love and you're putting love into it, like I love writing, I'm an MC, I love going on stage and performing in front of as many people as I can. I love it. I truly, genuinely am passionate about it. And hopefully when people go to listen to my music afterwards, they see that. And I'm getting better at that now. Even though I've been doing this so long, it's like now what I'm trying to do, since my time is limited and balancing everything, is that moment. I've been doing it the old school way, sitting down with the producer. He'll start making a beat on the spot, or he'll have a little skeleton. He started, boom, I start writing right there. And instead of what I used to do is I chip away at it, 4 lines here, 4 lines there, whatever. I try to write as much as I can right there while he's there, while I'm in the moment, while I'm vibing out and pushing myself. But I'm doing it because I love it. I felt like that whole Heart of a Lion thing, that's like a story of my life. That's like my biography, that album. But it was chopped up too much where I wasn't having fun because I was learning how to mix. I was learning how to master. I was learning all these different things. So I was like, it was almost like fucking torture making that shit. I'm proud of it. I'm very proud. I think it would be dope in a lot of movies in the background, the music, you know what I mean? It has a lot of emotion in it and stuff like that. But now what I'm trying to do is love what I do, back to square one. That's what I'm calling this project, square one.
Right.
Because I'm bringing it back to when I started this shit with them other groups, because it was like friendly competition. It was fun. We had a lot of love.
That should be a name of a track too. Friendly competition.
That'd be dope. Have like 4 deadly ass MCs on it, killing it. Yeah, that'd be dope.
Putting their own spin onto shit.
Yeah, man. That'd be dope.
That's like so this is why this is dope, right? So
the Tourage, exclusive.
Thank you. I'll cut that too. I'll use that audio bit on its own.
Yo, what up? It's BigStat with S. Simpson on the Tourage. Tune in. If you don't fucking listen to the whole thing, we'll choke you out, shit down your throat 14 times. Damn. I don't know why 14, but it's gonna be 14. The Tourage, bitches.
Yeah, motherfucker. Right on 13. I'm gonna wait a little bit before I fucking choke you the last hardest.
You're gonna have the IPA shits, IPA all day.
If you were to like so one of the beautiful things about the podcast is like an art generator. The way that I visualize the podcast is kind of like a Hot Wheels track right in the spot where the two things are spinning and you're about to throw the car. Because here, BigStat gets to talk about what he already loves to do and what he's doing while we go back and forth. And like what you had just said before about you're just learning, back to square one, everything, that's even how I feel about the conversation. I'd like people to listen back on the conversation and see that there is a flow, that it is getting better, that the podcast is getting better. But the beautiful thing here is that when I have someone like you sit in the chair and you tell me what you just told me about Heart of the Lion, if you looked at 2 paintings, right, maybe you just see that the second painting is way better than the first and they're by the same artist. But the artist doesn't get to tell you where you could at least share some empathy and shit in regards to, yo, you know how long it took realizing I was using the wrong brush and putting that color there, and then I started switching to this one, and then I realized I needed to use oil instead of acrylic here.
The learning process,
right? Gary V, you know Gary V?
Mr. Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, document the process, you know what I'm saying? And this gets to document some of the process, so it's beautiful to hear you talk about that.
See, what I'm also learning is people like to see growth. Like, I was always critical, like, oh, you gotta hire the best music video people, whatever. Fuck it. Do some shit on your phone. Throw the shit out there.
That's Wu-Tang, right?
Yeah, man.
That's the Wu-Tang.
They see they see the growth.
Yep.
And along that journey with that growth, the fans grow with you. You know what I mean? My issue is I don't really fuck with social media that much. You know what I mean? I think if I did, oh, look at me. Maybe I would be further than I am. But I'm going to just go with my gut. I do it when I feel like it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. You know?
It's like it's a different game. I was thinking about it before you got here too, and even like the steps in which that I would release the podcast with other things on social media. And when you really, maybe, you know, at the end of the day, I'm really so new to the shit that like I shouldn't be talking like I know, but at least when I'm saying that for the way I like to do it, the way that I think is the right way with the right hashtags and whatever. Let me use the platform to its full advantage. That shit is like a whole nother job, right? Because after you come on here, and I still got to do it for a lot of other people on the podcast, I'll put one of the dope professional photography pieces of you, and then underneath it I'll put the episode intro. I'll put one really dope thing that we talked about, a video of you, and I'll put something else in there that like it's consistent. Every time you come to the page you'll find it. Now that's way easier said than done, dude.
It's mad work,
it's
bro.
It's a lot of work, you know, just to make one post to spotlight you, which is technically one big multi-post with it's all right shit, and then one about the intro, one about just you, one about getting to you, something like that. That shit is over 5 hours. Editing this podcast, it will take me
it's fucking
2
days,
to 3
bro.
times.
You think
as long.
about how much we've been communicating just to make this happen.
But I love it.
And then I love that.
And
shit.
I
gotta make a song. I love that shit. I say that all day. I love that shit.
That's what the second thing was that reminded me before. The Tourage logo, that circle, right? Like the same way that you were talking about your creative process and saying that like you had to bit some stuff together, but then you're like, let me sit down and let me be in the moment and let me vibe and let me feel it right now. Okay, the more, so if you put your hand up and draw a circle just with your hand, do it right now. Okay, so if you were to actually see that, the more in the moment.
I'm picturing areolas when I do this.
Oh shit, let me squeeze out and start sucking the air real quick. But the more in the moment you are and present you are, the better the circle becomes. So the Tourage logo in that circle is kind of like, listen, whatever it is that you do.
I made 712 areolas in the last 30 seconds.
712, god damn. That's an even number. That's good. So that means either one girl doesn't have 3 tits or one girl doesn't have 1. Woo! But
Man.
You feel me though?
Yeah,
the more
absolutely.
present and in the moment with everything you do matters, right? Everything you do matters. So the more present in the moment, and the circle is creating because you're making a circle. So this is a beautiful way to talk about stats. Circle, right? Hip hop, doing what he does, the creative process, whatever. And this, my circle happens to be conversation. Because I realized a while ago, man, that like I look up to you in a lot of ways for a lot of the shit you've been able to do with music. And I look there, and sometimes my perfectionism is to a fault. And while we have all these other responsibilities to factor in these few hours of passions that you really can't schedule, I started getting really frustrated on the things I like hip hop or martial art, whatever I'd be able to actually execute and do. And it's not a good feeling when something that you love and you want to do doesn't have the time, and you feel like I haven't been committing enough time to it. So this
torture, bro.
So I started this because you want to know what? Because it's not that hard, and all the hours worth of work it takes to do it, it's not that bad compared to being able to sit down, free flow, and there's something happening between your head and my head while we have a conversation. That's an art in itself. Plus, when's the last time you actually sat down with no phone or no bullshit around you and had a hour, 2, 3, whatever conversation with someone? That's lacking right now.
Definitely not on an elevator. Yo, you go on an elevator, they bust out their phone like, oh my god, I don't want this guy to
That's
say hello
social
to me.
awkwardness, right?
I don't want to say hello to this guy. He's a stranger. Oh, I'm going to floor 8. Hey.
God, my shirt's sticking out on the back.
Yo, another thing about that too, we were bouncing around, but whatever.
It's fine.
Like,
That's the conversation.
yeah. So I got 3 kids now, and I'll take 2 of them to the playground. Yo, it's sickening how many times you go to the playground and all the parents are on their phone, don't even look up at their kids. They be like, mommy. Swiping. Ooh, does someone like my picture? They don't even pay attention. And then when they finally look at their kid, they go, what? What do you want? I'm like, yo, are you fucking serious? You're a horrible parent.
Yeah.
But that's what social media is doing.
Well, they're getting accustomed to instant.
It's like the slot machine.
Yeah,
it's like,
they're getting accustomed to being like someone who actually has ADHD, like the few that have the real shit. They're getting cut. Next. Like there's a big thing about generations and consuming. Our parents' generations consume social media at a much slower rate. They really devour that next post that they see, that whole thing. We tend to go, oh, maybe I'm into this, and it makes us impulsive.
Yep.
Makes us impulsive as shit. And dealing with a child is not something you could be impulsive and quick-tempered about.
Yo, you go to take a shit, and then the kid's outside in the neighbor's house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, my son will go outside and try to stand on the railing on the deck and jump off into the driveway.
I still do that.
It's crazy. But it's great. You got to pay attention to them, and how you raise your children is going to affect how they are in their lives later on. So it's like that social media has its place. Absolutely. Like you can, especially when you're starting a brand, whether it's a t-shirt company or the Tourage or you're doing music, it has its place, and it has a lot of benefits. You could reach a lot more people than you would ever be able to before, when you had to do everything hand to hand. It definitely has its benefits, but you got to learn when to balance it, and don't take it out on your children. This shit's crazy. Shit's crazy, yo.
Well,
what do you want, Benjamin? You fucking asshole. Like, it's just crazy.
But then that's the thing, is like you and I might be able to sit here and be like, don't take it out on your children. But I feel like a lot of people that take whatever it is, whether it's their work day or other stress, out on their children, first and foremost, they don't realize that they're taking their work day or whatever it is out on their children. They're just taking it out on their children. That's something I recognize, like back in the day, even with my father, which we've done a lot of fucking work, and like I've really put my foot in the fucking ground, left foot first. Let's make sure that we improve the relationship of everyone in the family, because when one relationship gets better, it all gets better.
Absolutely,
but the thing is the fact of the matter is when, see, I feel like naturally the people that sit across from me, and you specifically, right, you're more inclined to be real, to be yourself, to follow what you believe in. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy for us to both agree on the fact that most of the people out there are not like that. So when you're just naturally someone where every day you're doing something that, and it's not to say that your job is ends to certain types of means, right? Maybe you don't necessarily believe in your job, but do you hate it, right? Because I've worked a job where I hated it. So every day I was lying to everybody, let alone the fact that the person I'm lying to the most is myself.
Do I hate my job? My regular day job? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, sure. Do you?
I hate the fact that I can't work on my passion. I hate any day job where I'm not working on my passion.
But it's something that you go in to do to get money and do the next thing.
It provides for my family, and it's something that I do well. Like, I take pride in everything I do, and I've been doing it so long. Like, I used to work construction for my father, building houses, doing wood framing and all that stuff, and roofs and siding out in the summer. And like, you get better at it over time. Just like anything else, the more you do it, the better you get. So I do it well, and it provides money for my family right now. So cool, but I'm not, how can I put it? I'm not passionate about the work, but I take pride in everything I do. Yeah. If that makes any sense at all. It's a double-edged sword all day.
It definitely makes...
Because, if I woke up at 4 in the morning and I went in the studio for 12 hours, I would come out with some shit every day, and I'd be dropping music all the time. So I think it drives me nuts. It has. I'm learning to balance it now. But there was a time where I was really fucking down, and I wasn't inspired for like 2 years, I would say, where I was just like hard on myself. Like, I didn't want to do shit. Like, I just wasn't inspired. Nothing, the climate, the music, the shit that was coming out, the fact that I just had 2 children at the time, and all I was doing was working. The more I worked, the less time I spent with them. And so they'd never see me. And then on top of that, I couldn't work on my passion. It's just depressing. It is. In that society, they want you to be trapped. They want you to be a slave to them, so the person on the top could keep feeding off of you. And then once you make a little bit more bread and you think you can get ahead, oh shit, let's tax them on this shit. Oh, you bought a new car? Let's tax them twice as much now. You know what I mean? It's like, no matter what you do, you gotta learn how to shut off your emotions when it comes to shit that's out of your control. You know what I mean? And not let anything else be able to control your happiness. You know what I mean? Find time for it. Even though I'm only doing it on the way to work and the way back some days, that's what it is. As long as I'm doing it as much as I possibly can and trying to do better every day, then I'm happy. You know what I mean? Especially when I record a new song, I'm like, it's like I just lost my virginity for like 2 weeks. I swear to God, I'm like, yo, because I know it's fucking dope and it's better than the last song. You know what I mean? Chiba Chiba, y'all.
It's actually just tobacco. That shouts to American Spirit.
Bacco, y'all.
In the house. Shouldn't be doing that.
I was going to say, I don't smell no Cheebs. I'm like, it looks like Chiba Chiba, but it don't smell like Chiba Chiba.
I've been really chilling on weed, like a lot. I will smoke, and one of the few times that I will do it, even though like I think I took a hit with Nick, but like that would be the most of it. The only time I would is it's a tool, man. Yeah. It's a tool like everything. You got to recognize that like there's certain times you should and certain times you don't. And then when certain parts of your life aren't together, there's things that you need to do or whatever like that. And when you're smoking, the fact that you're smoking means you don't need to do anything else because that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Next thing, like time wasted when things need to get done is not good. So I had to really step away from weed like that. But on the look of like working and everything, so I think all work is worthy, all work. And I think that whether the way that you think about it or I think about it or anybody else that's way different than you or I, everyone has ego involved in what position do you have, what do you do, and this, and that. Now, I was lucky enough to get into corporate I'm 29. I feel like I wasted some time too, but I learned a lot to get into it early enough to realize, like, okay, this is not the environment I want to fuck with at all. See, now I'm in a restaurant, and there'll be nights where I'm shining silverware, and a smile will come on my face. Because what it is first I recognize the ego that goes, you used to run an entire North America sales department, you used to do this, and that, have a team, and make way more money. And immediately after that comes a smile, because it goes, listen, everyone here actually does their job. They're not liars. I'm only required, when you're putting water or food down on a table, when you're clearing a table, when you're shining the silverware, you are in the moment. You're doing that. When you're sheetrocking something, when you're roofing, when you're painting, manual labor, I think there's a lot of people in manual labor that think less of themselves because the way society wants to frame a successful job. But what they don't realize that they're getting that's such a beautiful benefit is the majority of your work is done in the moment. And when you start robbing people of the moment, and basically here's anxiety and depression, or anxiety at least, bunch of thoughts come in your head. I should be doing this. These people are being bad persons. I should be saying this. That's unfair. This is bullshit. I don't even like let me do something. Let me go on social media and do something else aside from my job, right? Jared, episode 2 would be like, all these people talking shit about his job. Meanwhile, you're doing your draft right? At least you're actually doing the work that you're doing. And when you do that, it's amazing how much mind capacity it frees up. Right? Because it goes right back to the suffering. You want to talk shit to yourself about the suffering in your head? Well, you have way more time to do that at a desk doing something you don't want to do than at a manual labor job doing something.
You don't have time to think about that shit.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
You don't have time to go on your phone.
Not at all. I've always been one where I really don't touch my phone while I work. Mm-hmm. So if it's manual labor, I'm not at all.
Nope. No time.
So where do you see everything intercepting now, right? This is one of the reasons why I was very interested to speak with you, is because the same respect that I was saying I have for atmosphere, it's like, okay, so okay, get moving, but don't be in a rush, right? Mm-hmm. I got priorities I need to handle and find the balance, right? So what do you really see yourself moving forward with when it comes to hip-hop? Or do you even think hip-hop would get brushed to the side? Everyone's motivated by different things, and they change throughout your life.
Yeah.
So there's the drive to defend, the drive to bomb, the drive to acquire, and the drive to learn. And one will always rule someone's life. Mm-hmm. So maybe you want to work really hard, and you're driving to acquire, and then you want family time. Drive to bond takes over. Where are you at now?
I mean, I'm definitely learning how to balance this all out with all the responsibilities on my shoulder. But as far as music goes, my goal is still similar to what it was before. Like, I want to, just like you and I are into Alan Watts, and after I got over that whole thing with my mother and realizing that it's out of my control, I got heavy into self-help books and stuff like that. The Power Now, Eckhart Tolle, all that stuff. I was into that in high school. Mm-hmm. I was into that in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, reading books on that stuff. And I've learned a lot about it, about life and about manifesting things and doing things with intention and doing things with purpose. And I try to provide that message through my music along still having fun with it. You know what I mean?
You do. I've been listening through again just because I knew you do.
So my goal with these, I got 2 projects just about done now, and I'm still going. I'm still trying to just create as much as possible. And I just got new distribution, so I'll be able to release as much stuff as I want now on iTunes and everything as often as I want. So my goal is to definitely just get more music out, more music videos, and reach as many people as possible and make a living off of it. You know what I mean? Just doing what I love without having to
That's that Alan Watts goal.
Yeah, without compromising integrity at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get that message across.
I think that
it's okay to do what you love. It's okay to not have to try to fit in with what everybody else is doing. Just Just do what feels right for you and do it to your best ability and share it to the world. And you know what? Who gives a fuck what they think? Just do what you love, share it with the world, and the right people will come to you. You know what I mean? My thing before was I was always trying to look for people to help me out. I was trying to get my shit to DMX and to Jay-Z and to all these people like, oh, maybe they'll sign me and put me on. That doesn't work. Like, it might work for some people, but that shouldn't be the goal. You should do the best you can and focus on your craft and get it out there the best way that you can, and the right people will come to you, because that's how you get caught in the wrong situations with label situations, and it goes nowhere. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you're forcing it. It's not. You got to surrender. You got to learn to let go and just straight up surrender to the universe, and the right things will align as long as you're doing the best that you possibly can. So that's where I'm at. I surrendered, man. I surrendered. I stopped fucking caring.
I mean, you took many words out of my mouth. I couldn't agree with you more. And it's funny because, like, what you were saying before about you can't carry shit if there's an altercation or whatever, like, when you finally do surrender is when you really do realize how much you have been carrying. Right? Like, you just do need to let go. Life is all about letting go, because there was Alan Watts says this, because there was never anything to hang on to in the first place. And it's like, dude, here's also, before we were talking about, like, people will be more inclined, they love to see the growth, but they'll be more inclined to follow your story when they see an individual, like a man who could conform himself can conform the world. Let me see somebody doing something that is associated with, that is Tourage, that's associated with their craft, and what you'll see is a lot of people are living happy, better lives when it's tied into some type of purpose or some type of meaning. So especially working in corporate, everyone wants a timeline. It's going to be this here now. And I'm sure you've had moments where you're like, I want to finish this by then. And then halfway, 3/4 of the way through, it's completely impossible. And maybe that happens 4 or 5 times that you push back the date. But if you're surrendering, you're not beating yourself up over it. But there is that balance of, like, I need to execute.
You got to have goals too, you know what I mean?
You got to have, you need to have something that you're looking to.
It's more or less surrendering things that are out of your control. As long as you have goals and you're pushing towards it. But if you get a bump in the road, you don't get bent out of shape over it. You just roll over that fucking bump, run over somebody that's trying to stop you, and fucking smash them in the head with a spike bat on the way, whatever it takes. But not letting it alter your happiness along the way. Cause like I got this vibe when you were saying washing the dishes and you started smiling. That's something that I've caught myself doing at work a lot, because it's like you're laughing because this isn't it for me. These people at work take this shit so serious, and they're take so much pride in their position, and I'm the best at this and da 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 da. That's cool. I'm just gonna laugh it off because this is just a stepping stone. I'm not gonna be here for the rest of my life. This is just a little piece of the puzzle. To an end. This is a little piece of the puzzle, man. This is only one. This is one chapter, man. This is not the end. This is not my life. This is just one piece. That's why you laugh it off, because you know that you have something better that you're striving for. You know? Yeah. I mean, that's why I laugh it off, and I think it's funny.
Same with me. And so actually the last episode I ever did on the radio, 91.1 WMUA, was called Passions versus Priorities, because I was about to leave college. After I got kicked out, back in and manifested again on the radio, boxing team, all that shit. Did Passion versus Priorities. And I met this woman, Tony Blackman, when we hosted, you heard of TED Talks, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also hosted the first TEDx at UMass Amherst, and one of the 13 speakers was Tony Blackman. She's a cultural ambassador for the UN, and she specializes in hip-hop. So she came and she did a talk on the Cypher, right? Now, fast forward, we become close friends, and through my time of transitioning from not really knowing what life is going to be about, because I was just struggling to get through school and everything like that, to like next chapter. She told this story on that episode that was about, funny enough, like kind of dishes. And it's about like some old kung fu story, and I'm going to butcher it. But basically it goes, you know, there's a fucking compound, right? And you got, there's motherfuckers out there, they're smoking and drinking and whatever, and no one's taking shit serious. They're doing a bunch of other things, out partying with girls and everything like that, and the compound gets raided this one night, right? Like this other clan or something comes in. And meanwhile, in the kitchen, there's someone, and it's the guy that's doing the dishes. He's washing his bowl. And while he's washing his bowl, he's in the moment, and he's washing his bowl. So while everyone else is out there partying and hanging out with girls, he's perfecting his craft. He's only doing that, which enables him that when something does happen to act much more efficiently, sufficiently as well, and be able to be competent in taking on whatever else comes, while everyone else was distracting themselves with, sex, money, drugs, or anything like that. This is
dicks.
Focusing in the moment, Yeah. And that makes such a big difference. That's the podcast, like, in a nutshell. That's what.
Wooden dick?
No.
Oh, all right.
Motherfucker.
No, it's about the Tourage, man. No, yesterday, my kids were sleeping and my wife and I were driving, and there was this road, it was like wooden duck, and I was like, wooden dick. And I freestyled for like 20 minutes about wooden dicks, and she was like, what the? I'm driving around, I just kept talking about wooden dicks. I was like, wooden dick.
Dude, when you freestyle, maybe not even.
Sorry, bro. I didn't mean to fuck it.
No, it's all good.
For some reason, I just remember that shit. She was laughing the whole time. I'm on some stupid shit sometimes. I don't show that stupid part of me too much. I'm all serious usually, but I'm stupid as fuck, man.
Well, that's the conversation, bro. Go whatever direction you want it to.
I'm stupid as fuck. I say some dumb shit.
So when you be freestyling, do you freestyle around your kids?
The wooden dick song? No,
not the wooden dick. Yeah.
They're sleeping. But yeah. Matter of fact. Hold up. I come up with hooks sometimes yelling at them.
Do you? Oh, yeah. Let's hear this shit.
Well, this is gonna be a skit on the album. I don't know how I'm gonna put it in there. Oh man, I don't even know if I'm gonna find it right now. Shit.
Look for it.
So my son goes, Daddy, there's a spider. There's a spider in the basement. Can you kill the spider? I'm like, all right, yeah, no doubt, whatever. I go down there, kill the spider. He goes, what kind of spider was that, Daddy? I was like, it was a daddy long leg. He runs up. He runs up. He's like, Mommy.
What?
A daddy long leg.
What do they call it, Alex?
Daddy dong leg.
What is it?
Daddy dong leg.
Yo, my son called a daddy long leg a daddy dong leg. Like he was dead serious. Mommy, Daddy killed a daddy dong leg downstairs. So yeah, I gotta make a song called Daddy Dong Leg and throw that up in there.
You definitely
I pictured a spider with 8 dicks for legs. This shit was crazy. Even to this day, you talk about a daddy long leg, you'll say, Alex, you see a daddy long leg? Yeah, I saw a daddy dong leg yesterday. It was crazy. There was like 3 daddy dong legs. I just picture a spider with 8 dicks, man. That's all. But yeah, sometimes I freestyle with them. Sometimes they throw me words. Sometimes when they're driving, they get me mad. I start yelling at them and I just start freestyling, talking shit. But yeah.
Do you ever do like? So what's the youngest name?
Isaac. He's a month and a half. Matter of fact, Adriana, Heart of a Lion, I held her in the booth with me when I recorded a lot of that.
Did you really? That's one of my favorite songs by you, man.
The Adriana song, I held her.
That is one of my favorite songs.
She was in my arms like the whole time I recorded that song. I had to redo a bunch of takes because she was making noise. She was little when I started it. That was a song I started.
It makes it so much more beautiful.
Yo, that song was crazy because it was like a diary. Like I never had a kid before, so it was like I was writing my emotions down. So that song probably took 2 years, I think 3 years to make, because it was just in the moment. It was like, this is how I'm feeling now. This is how I'm feeling now. And she was with me while I recorded, so it was as real as it gets, man. And then I got Alex on this new project. I did a track with these cats called Track Bangers. They're out of Holyoke, Mass. They produced that song Johnny Cash for Yellow Wolf. They did some stuff. They did a bunch of stuff, man. The one of the kids is the DJ for Post Malone now too, man. But yeah, he came over the crib. We did a joint. I had Alex, my other son, on the bridge. He's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Like it sounds like evil and spooky. It's pretty dope. So yeah.
They listen to music with you?
Yeah, like my daughter was showing her teacher the video with her in it and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, they're into it. My daughter right now, she's into she was into Taylor Swift. Now she's all about Rihanna. But I gotta be selective with which songs, you know.
You gotta be selective.
No, bitch, better have my money.
What was it when so Nick's brother Jay, when Jay has got a son named Jameson. When Jameson was a baby, there was one time that we were kicking it, and he was like, we had already seen his love for music, right? We put on a Biggie song or something like that. He would like literally stand up before he could walk, and he would just start banging on the table and just be listening. And there was one time where Jay's holding him, and he's crying, and I'm holding him, he's crying. So I just started freestyling.
Yep.
And like the crying just stopped, and he just is looking at me and like going with it.
Zoning out.
Like you don't know what any of that shit means, but there's just this instinctual nature of like rhythm that comes out in people when it comes to any type of music or flow or whatever, you know?
Universal language. Yeah, my son Alex is the same way. Like he'll hear a break beat and he'll just start that ugly face. He'll just start nodding his head.
Ugly face.
My son is definitely going to be into music in some way. Yeah. My daughter Adriana, she don't give a shit.
What are their signs? What is your sign? You pay attention to that shit?
Yeah, my wife and my daughter are Aries. My daughter is a spitting image of my wife.
What?
I'm a Taurus. Alex is born. He's December 15th. What is that?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius, yeah.
Yeah, so he definitely could be into music. Sagittarius tend to run around. They're the festival go, right? They tend to like to be in the bunch of people running around, doing different things.
Yeah, man.
Traveling.
He got these big dimples, man. He's gonna be a problem, man. And then Isaac, he was born July 2nd. I don't know what sign is that.
Cancer.
He's Cancer.
Yeah, that's me.
He's gonna be thugged out then.
Oh yeah,
we're right near the hood on Gary Road, man. So we'll see what happens, man.
A little far from the hood on Gary Road. Fucking so like Enfield though. So tell me, like when you were starting to do hip hop, there had to have been some part of you that goes like, oh, okay, so a lot of people I listened to were from these other areas.
New York,
yeah, the areas that you all. Again, I've always kind of felt rep what you are, right? Be real about the shit, but then like
I never really rep Connecticut too much, like ever, like.
Yeah. It's Connecticut. It's not really.
There's other rappers that do from Connecticut, and they do their thing doing it, and it was. I just didn't care. I just wanted to show my talent and my skill, and I didn't want people to prejudge me for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you even think like Fabulous when he first came out. I don't think he was screaming out Brooklyn until later. Like he was just rapping, and I just want to be good at my craft, and people they could do research and find out where I'm from, whatever. That's how I always felt about it. And I would go to New York 4 or 5 times a week after work and like sneak backstage at shows and shit like that just to network. So it was like I was in that scene, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't from New York, but I was involved. I was around it enough where I was like submerged in it and like around the right people, you know what I mean? Because if you're from Enfield, Connecticut, and you stay in Enfield, Connecticut, I'm not gonna say you're never gonna make anything happen, but you need to get the fuck out of there and see the rest of the world. Whether you're traveling to Peru in the fucking jungle doing ayahuasca tea and tripping on DMT, like you need to see the world. Like there's so much more out there. Like me going to Hollywood a couple times, I met some people. That's how the CSI thing happened. Like it's you meet different people, and people are more open to you if you're not from there. Like if you go to New York, people might be more open to you because you're not from New York, because you're not a part of the local scene. So yeah, I never felt trapped because I never stayed there. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to travel.
I feel you. Bro, you mind if I hit the bathroom real quick?
Yo, drop that deuce, man.
Nah,
drop that deuce.
Drop that deuce. I wouldn't be doing that in the podcast.
Yo, Samson's taking a shit right now. He's dropping fire right now. But yeah, you're tuned into the Tourage. This is BigStat. I'm taking over. We're gonna be talking about urinal cakes on your birthday. Be right back. I tried having a conversation with myself about urinal cakes on your birthday, but it didn't last long.
About what? Urinal cakes?
Yeah, urinal cakes on your birthday.
Wait, what the fuck are urinal cakes?
Like, they're those little round soap things in the bottom of the urinal, so when you piss on them, it doesn't smell like Section 8 elevators.
So do you piss on it or do you piss on
to the side of it. I piss on it sometimes.
Because I've been trying to, I feel like pissing on it.
You can't piss on it, splashes, man.
Does it?
Yeah.
It depends on the urinal.
Yeah, it depends on the urinal, man. How deep the urinal is.
Yo, so what was the, how did the relationship with Wu-Tang come to be?
I was upset. All right, so I first learned about Wu-Tang when I was probably 93. So I was 9 years old. My neighbor, my homie Mark Tujana, man, he's a dope tattoo artist now. I'm gonna see him. I got a show
Mark Tujana?
Yeah.
Put him in the timetable of contents.
Yeah, I'll find his Instagram. You could tag him or whatever. He's a dope tattoo artist, but he used to DJ back in the day, and he was into drum and bass and all that. But he in the Doors, like he put me onto the Doors, put me onto Led Zeppelin, all that. But then he put me on the Wu-Tang, and I just he got me into skateboarding and shit. He was the older cat that I looked up to. You know, he was 6 years older than me, and I looked up to him. I didn't really have any kids my age to look up to. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, he got me into Wu-Tang, and I just took it to another level. Bought the Wu-Tang skateboard, bought 2 Wu-Tang skateboards. I used to count. I had 27 different Wu-Wear shirts at one point. I was obsessed. So I think that kind of spoke it into fruition a little bit because I was so obsessed.
So when you got obsessed, though, what was it about them that tickled your fancy?
I don't know, man. They were all... It was like organized chaos.
Mm-hmm. That's how RZA would explain how he made his beats in the beginning.
It was
the Tao of the Wu right over there.
It was just the energy behind it, man. The aggression, you got all these different styles coming together and just making a masterpiece. It was fucking dope, man. And Method Man was always one of my favorite MCs. So I used to try to sneak backstage at shows, and I was at the first Jingle Jam concert for 93.7.
Yeah.
And I was cool with all the DJs there because I used to see them all the time. I'm talking when I was like 16, 17, something like that, years ago. So I've known Method Man for half my life, man, or more. So that was the first Jingle Jam. I want to say it was 02 or 03, something like that. And I ran into my homie Big Man, DJ Big Man. Tell him why you're mad. And I remember he's like, yo, Stat, Method Man's in Wendy's in the Civic Center right now. He's wearing a brown Carhartt hoodie. He's like, yo, you should go give him your demo or whatever. So I went up to him, gave him the CD, and he's like, yeah, whatever, kid. You know what I mean? So he gets his food. He starts walking back to his bus at that Goodwin Hotel right there. I'm trying to rhyme for him. He's like, oh, come on, man. You got to keep trying, man. That shit was whack. That's what he told me when I was like 16, 17. Then I went to Webster Theater in Hartford, and if you bought his album, the prequel to Cal O, the prequel, there was a meet and greet afterwards. Yo, I waited like 12 hours. I met him again. I don't know if he remembered or not, whatever. But I became cool with his manager. We were talking, kind of kept in touch with him. Then Wu-Tang had a show at the Hippodrome. I'm telling the whole fucking deal, man. Sorry.
Please do.
So Wu-Tang had a show at the Hippodrome. And my thing, like you said, is act like you belong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would find out where the artists would enter. So I would go to the back, I would talk to people, and then act like I set up a thing to meet to get a drop because I was a mixtape DJ at the time also too. So yeah, I just waited, and then Method Man came out with a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. I said, yo, what up, Stat? Whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever. And so yeah, we ended up exchanging numbers, and he said, yo, come by the hotel after. So I went to the hotel. He had a bunch of people up there. We kicked it.
How old are you at this point?
I don't know, 20 maybe. I don't know. It was over a couple years.
Yeah.
But we talked about hip hop. You know what I mean? And then this was when I was still in Hush. You know, he thought I managed the cat in the wheel, Doug in the wheelchair. He thought I managed him. He didn't even know I rapped at all. At all. We just talked about hip hop and became cool, and he thought I managed Doug. So yeah, it went along. Went to a bunch of shows, whatever. Never performed with him. He didn't know I rapped, nothing. And then it all started happening actually when I left Hush. When I left, and I still stayed friends with him, I was just chilling with him alone at the hotel somewhere, and he started rhyming for me. He started showing me all some new shit. Because he knew I was a hip-hop head, and I was getting to give him some honest feedback. We built a rapport at that point. We built a little friendship, whatever. So I'm like, yo, he knew I was a big fan. I was going to keep it funky with him, whatever. So I'm like, yo, this shit's crazy. Da, da, da. And the beat kept playing. So, boom, I spit a 16. He's like, yo, what the fuck? He goes, hold up. He's like, let me go get 7. 7 is his manager. He went and got 7. 7 came back. He's like, yo, 7 stats an MC. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? He's like, yo, he ain't a rapper. He's an MC. Stat, spit another 16. Boom. So I rhymed, I did like 2 more verses. He's like, yo, what the fuck? And shortly, then, I left the other group. And then I saw Meth another time. And he took me, he was on the Smokers Club too, I think it was. Yeah. With, who was it? Smoke Dizza, I think, was on it. Currency. Definitely Currency was there.
Yeah, Currency was there. Currency from Enfield, Canada, I think, right?
Currency? No, he's from down south. He was down with...
I'm thinking of Classified, my bad.
Yeah, not Currency was down with No Limit and shit back in the day.
Word, okay.
So, so he brought me on the bus. It was just me and him chilling on the bus. He's rolling up. He knows I have nothing against smoking. It's not my choice of poison, whatever. I smoke a couple times a year, just chilling at night type of thing. I never buy trees. You know what I mean? That's just how I am. Like, I just get tired. It's just not, you know what I mean? I like having more control. You know what I mean? Might have a beer or two, a couple shots, something like that, like to relax. So, but he always respected that because I wasn't just like there like, yo, Meth. I've smoked with Meth a bunch of times and read and all that, but I don't, if I don't feel like it, Meth will go to pass. I'll be like, nah, I'm good, man.
Yeah, and he's probably around so many dick riders all the time.
Oh my God, yo, I want to smoke. But it was like, I think that he had respect because
you were you.
I was being myself, man. And he said that. He said that in the video with him. You know what I mean? So we were on the bus. I remember seeing DJ Buck that night. That was at Toad's place. At Toad's place. Buck was like, yo, I want you in the cypher, da-da-da-da-da. So I remember kicking it with Meth on the bus. He was like, yo, let me hear some new shit. Raekwon used to do that to me, too. He'd be like, yo, let me hear some new shit. I would just be chilling with them. Or sometimes I'd be chilling with Ray backstage and be like, let me hear some new shit in front of everybody, just randomly.
Yeah.
And Ray and Meth, they just sit down and just analyze it. And listen, because I take pride in what I do with the wordplay and syllables and all that
They showing you that respect too in the way they're listening.
Yo, and Meth would be like, yo. And he had me do the same verse again because he was like dissecting it. The same thing. I've studied him my whole life, man. You know what I mean? Like, I study these dudes. These are my idols. So for him, and he was like, yo, that word scheme, the way you set it up to solar flare was, yo, you know what I mean? Like breaking it down. So I'm like, shh. And that night was when he told me, he was like, yo, not for nothing. He was like, yo, leaving that group was the best thing you did, man. He was like, your shine was getting blocked, whatever, man. He's like, you're talented. And he was like, nothing against Homeboy, whatever. But, people were just paying attention to that and they weren't paying attention to you at all. He's like, you got a lot of talent, whatever. You gotta just keep pushing and doing your thing yourself, your solo thing. I think that's what you're meant to do, whatever. So he kind of told me that. And then that's when he took me on the road with him and Red. So I went on the road with him and Red, just whatever shows I could make it to, because I wasn't getting paid for any of the shows. I was finding out a lot of these tours, when cats are opening up, they're paying to just open up, the tour. To open up. Yeah. So I gained the respect. Meth introduced me to Red, and Red just automatically gave me the green light and showed love because Meth. He's like, yo,
Tourage, motherfucker.
Yeah. We were family. So he's like, yo, Meth fucks with you, I fuck with you too. So that's when I got Red to host the Don't Quit Your Day Job. And around that time, might have been a little before that, but yeah, so I went on the road to the shows that I could make, mostly the ones in the Northeast. I did one in LA at the House of Blues before they tore it down.
Right.
The same stage that Tupac performed on, the last stage Tupac performed on, I performed there. That shit was dope. There was 2 shows the same night because it was sold out. RZA showed up. Killer Priest. But I invited this cat, my boy Young C and my boy Ralphie O put me onto his cat Kobe. I invited him on MySpace to show us how long ago it was. And Kobe is an amazing songwriter. He does hooks. He did that song with Fabulous. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do it. He did that hook. He did the Still Kill with 50 Cent and Akon. He's the one that wrote that shit. He was on Eminem's album, The Recovery. He did Talking to Myself. You know the one where Em was talking about dissing Kanye and Lil Wayne?
Yep.
He's the dude on that hook. So I was like, shot in the dark. This cat's out here. Let me invite him and put him on my guest list on MySpace. He came through. He watched me rock. I get off stage, go up on the balcony. Cat Williams was up there, showed me love. He's like, yo, you killed it. Like Chicago Bulls were up. There were so many people there just watching me perform just because it was there. And I was outside of Connecticut. And Red MF gave me that opportunity and gave me the green light to perform with him. Whatever shows I can make it at, usually I'll just text Meth and be like, yo, is it cool if I rock at this show? Yeah, come on through. Or text my manager, whatever, to set it up with the venue to make sure you're good. So that's dope. Like, I've had opportunities to go overseas with them, but I just couldn't make it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they gave me the green light, but I just couldn't get the time off of work or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so that's dope. That's been a great experience even before that, being on stage.
Great to understatement.
To be able to be a sponge and watch them entertain, not even perform, entertain, and a huge audience being MCs on top of it, being fucking wordsmiths and entertain these people with showmanship, man. I would say I've seen a lot. I've seen almost everybody in hip hop perform, either from backstage or on the stage or right there in the front row. And I have to say that Redman and Method Man are two of the best performers.
I'd agree with that. I'm more limited than you are, but I'd agree with that. Like the relationship with the crowd, the conversation that they having,
walking on the crowd, like
how many steps.
They've perfected. They've done so many shows. They perfected it. Like, they move like water. They're Bruce Lee up there, man. I could go through my text where I told Red, I said, yo, you're fucking Bruce Lee of hip hop, and yo, much love, stat, da da da. You know what I mean? Like, Red will text me sometimes just asking me how the kids are doing and shit. Like, that's family, man. I've known them for half of my life, man. I love those dudes, man. I love those dudes. They've given me a lot of opportunities they did not have to give me. You know what I mean? And doing that ended up opening doors, and they introduced me to Meth introduced me to Ghostface, and then became cool with Ghost. And
love that track too.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Fucking went on the road with Ghost for a little while, and then another year went on the road with Ghost and the Wu Block tour with Sheek and Jada and Styles showed up some shows and shit. Right. So I had some experience with some legends. Same thing with Rakim too, man. Like, I snuck backstage at a lot of shows, and I waited for the right moment to spit for him and gain respect from him. I did it an old school way, man. I did it just gaining respect. I didn't have a budget. I wasn't able to buy features. I was just about trying to prove myself to him. You know what I mean? Where these kids now don't really give a fuck about that. But to me, that was my goal. And I can say, at least looking back, I accomplished gaining respect from my idols. You know what I mean?
That's fucking... That is on a different level, dude. There's certain things in your repertoire that you may even push to the back as like, oh yeah, like that was then, but that other people are like, yo, that'd be the highlight of my entire life. Like, that's huge. And in the same way that you look at two artists painting and you can't tell all the shit that they did in between, it's kind of beautiful that Method Man and your relationship first formed not by looking at the painting, but by you telling them all the different shit that you were about as a person. You know, maybe not even about hip hop.
Same thing with Rakim.
Real recognized real, dude.
Rakim, he knew about Hush. Rakim, he saw our Fox News thing. I saw him backstage. He found out about us on the news. That's how the relationship with him started, about the movement, about bringing real hip-hop, conscious hip-hop back. So he gave me his number, and he was like, yo, call me, baby Paul, whatever, you know. He's old. Yo, I love Rob.
Fucking man. Always a G.
Yeah, always. Man. Yeah. So I called him. He didn't pick up. I'm like, he gave me the wrong number, whatever, you know. And then I remember I was pumping gas at Pride gas station in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I get a call from Rakim, man.
Damn, that must
hop
have
in the
felt
car.
Different.
I sat in the car and talked to him for like a half an hour. And just about hip hop, man. I never came at any of these dudes with my hands out. I got mad respect for him, man. I would never expect anything. You know what I mean? It was just everything happened naturally. You know what I mean? So with Ra, he ended up introducing me to his son, Ty Mel. I met Ra first, and he introduced me to his son, Ty Mel. And Ty and I are like brothers, man. Like, I love Ty, man. I love how he works. I love how he writes. Like, I love his work ethic. He never tried taking advantage of his father. He always tried to put the work in and do it on his own. For the longest time, he didn't want anybody to even know that Rob was his dad. He wanted to prove to his dad that he could do it on his own. And I had a lot of respect for that. And we've done a lot of records together. He slept over my crib. We've done a lot of shit. So when I did Heart of a Lion, I hit him up and I went through him and his dad's house. They lived in Stamford at the time. Rod doesn't live in Connecticut anymore, we were just chilling. I think we were playing Mortal Kombat or some shit. And then Rod was like, "Yo, you got any new music?" I said, "Yo, I just finished a new album." So boom, I showed him Heart of a Lion. I had the whole album done except for Adriana's song. I had the whole song done except for the chorus. So we went in the studio. He was blasting that shit loud as fuck. And like, he would listen to a song, sit there for like 30 seconds, just kind of soak it up what he heard. Because in the first song, My World, I actually shouted him out. You know what I mean? And like, he was like, yeah. And then he'd give me feedback, you know? And then sometimes he would rewind the song twice and listen to it again and then give me feedback. He gave me enough time to listen to that whole album and some songs twice and gave me feedback individually on every single song. That's priceless. It was incredible. And he told me at the end, he was like, "Yo, this shit is from the heart. It's real music." And he goes, "It's underground, but it's commercial." And he's like, "This is the difference between $100,000 deal and a multi-million-dollar deal. This is what this dude, this is what Rakim the God told me." And then we went to he had like a second kitchen with like a dining room, and we chilled, and he was trying to help me come up with a chorus to the Adriana song. I remember he's like, son, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So Rob was helping me write the chorus to it. I didn't end up using it because it was like, unless we recorded it right there on the spot, like in the moment, I wasn't going to use his ideas. You know what I mean? But what a compliment. Yeah, it was incredible, man. It was incredible. So, like, I may not have all the money in the world or be signed to J or anything like that yet, but I have a fucking crazy resume, man. Like, when it does happen, I get to the level I feel like I deserve to be at, I got an ill-ass VH1 behind the music. I got stories for days, man. I had Cannabis was one of my favorite MCs. I fucking drove him I did a bunch of shows with him. His brother was in the front seat of my Subaru Impreza Outback. Cannabis was in the back seat. My producer Ralphie was in the back seat, and his DJ was in my trunk. And I'm driving him to shows, and we're doing shows. Like, I got Corey Guns. I was in the studio with him and Young C, and yo, he passed out in my back seat on my boy's shoulder. Like, and I was driving him home because it was Peter Gunn's birthday the next day, and I got a ticket for going through a red light, and they took a picture of my license plate. Shit cost me like $350. Like, God damn. Yo, I got stories for days and days and days. I don't even know. You got the content. The content's real. I got real like, yo, I put in work. I fucking paid my dues. Like, when this shit happens and when the world finally hears it, like, I know my music is quality enough, and I got a story to tell, and overcoming adversity and all that shit. Like, it's just when I've always had trouble just getting it out to as many people. Like, I feel like there's a market for everything. So when someone goes, "Oh, you don't have trap beats or this, that," none of that shit matters. You got Necro who talks about fucking dead people, and he's got a fan base, and he's going tour around the world. Like, he has his own fan base. Then you got Lil Xan, who mumbles like he got a dick in his mouth, and he has a fan base. You know what I mean? But I don't hate on anybody. Like, it's not for me. Like, they got, you know, they got action movies. You got horror movies. Mm-hmm. You got comedies. It's like hip hop is turning into that. You got subgenres. For sure. That's how I feel about it. So I don't condone fucking sipping fucking lean and getting stupid and making music because you don't know how powerful your words are when you're fucked up on that shit and you're making music and putting it out there. Now you got all these other kids and then boom, now they're doing heroin and face tattoos and all that shit and they think that shit's cool. That shit's not fucking cool, man. Like you have a powerful weapon in your hand. You have a microphone. You have the power to change the fucking world like Tupac said or change somebody that can change the world. Like, I want to influence as many people to be the best person they possibly can. That's my goal. That's it.
I'm right there with you. I'm
You know what I
right there
mean?
with you. That is like, talk about a worthy cause, right? Like, all what you just said about basically the responsibility of your actions, or at least of your word, and then the market, and everything's different now, and how easy it is to get out there when they're not thinking about what they're saying and how it's going out there. It's like, you heard Alex Jones?
Yeah, I know Alex Jones.
Yeah, so he just
I'm
got
familiar.
pulled off of like every single platform, like Twitter, YouTube.
They pulled his YouTube, all the million followers?
They pulled everything. I believe that's how it was a week ago. So they pulled everything. And this conversation came up that I was hearing Rogan talk about with, I forget who.
Joe Rogan and Alex are cool, right?
Yeah, they're straight, but for the same reasons of Tourage, right? You've been able to establish something that you have common ground
That's
with.
not right. That's not right.
But then there's certain shit that you shouldn't do. So don't get me wrong. I got friends that do shit that I don't agree with at all. I don't live by. And that's also probably why they ain't as close of friends to me as some of the people you put as your number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, right?
Yep.
But you do need to think about now, like, in all the time. Imagine how hard it was for Jesus Christ to get a following, right? He fucking strolls into a new town, and you just need to be in a point in your life that you feel like you agree with what he's saying, let alone the fact that you're not going to walk around with him. And now it's like I can get hundreds of people to listen to this, thousands of people to see this immediately. Like, I could use... There's technology out there where someone could be like, oh, let me get this bot to just show all these people this. Let's get on the front of Spotify or iTunes, and this gets showed to them first. And now you found a little loophole, right? And you're not doing as much of the work as the individual that normally would have needed to back in the early 90s, 80s, whatever, to get big. And now there's less value to your currency while you spit it. Right? And then what is that actually doing to everyone else? See, in a lot of ways, I'm okay with the fact that I'm almost 30 and maybe I didn't join the 27s club and blow up and everything, because I wasn't as right with me as a man in my
age doesn't matter. Age
20s.
doesn't even exist, yo. I don't even
But
believe
then
it
now
exists.
you're spitting to all these other people that maybe they're not in their proper development. Maybe they don't have the perspective yet to really understand. Then you hook them. You hook them with the beat. You hook them with the chorus or whatever. And now people don't realize they're running on autopilot on words that actually have damage associated with them. It's like, you gotta want to be better. You gotta want to be a role model.
You got to try to do better every day, better than the day before. Accomplish more. You know what I mean?
That's one of the rules so who we listened to before, Jordan Peterson, in his book 12 Rules of Life. One of his rules is compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who somebody else was today. And I'm really fucking
Mind your
with
own
that.
fucking business.
Yeah,
Mind your
right.
own business. If
Mind
you
your
pay
own
attention
business.
to what everyone else is doing, you're not going to be paying attention to what you're doing right now.
Not at all. And it's not healthy.
You can't compare Samson to Noriega's podcast, sir. It's a different world. Like, this is you. This is a world that you created. You can never compare numbers or content or anything. This is you. This is your baby right here that you're molding, and it's growing right in front of everybody's eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't compare anything. You never walked in that person's footsteps. They never walked in yours.
Yeah. And
once you realize that none of that shit matters, you block out that noise. It's like Jimmy Iovine said on that Defiant once. He said, why do horse races, why do the horses have blinders on the sides? So they don't look at what they're doing on the side. So they just focus on that finish line. Because as soon as you look over at the other horse, that's when you slip up and you fall.
Yep.
It's true in life.
And that shit that Dre sampled, the Jimmy Iovine saying, right? Once you could find a way to get that fear to push you from behind instead of then to stand in front of you, you're going to, like, I'm paraphrasing, but you're going to realize what a beautiful thing that is. See, here,
embrace the struggle, man.
this podcast, this everything, this conversation, right? The one thing that I will say that is different about the rap element is the song or whatever, the album, that stands for you. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because what I think is beautiful is everything about BigStat that ain't just on the album. And I think that people can vibe with, fuck with, and fall in love with that just as much as they can, if not even more, the album. Then next thing you know, you gain an audience that doesn't even have to do with your craft. They just fuck with you. But to do this, and for any guest that sits in front of me that comes on here, first and foremost, the way that you run yourself on your day-to-day needs to be put together. Like, I couldn't start this until I quit that job because I wasn't being true to myself. And then automatically you're a liar, and automatically you don't have the perspective that really matters in a conversation that talk about what really matters. It's like there's elements missing. So when in hip hop, you could have a song and you can make some statements that you don't believe in or that are bad and that flood the youth and in whatever way it actually ends up affecting them. But that's all that matters. See, that song wouldn't take as much of a damaging toll if you said something bad if they knew you and knew that you were a little bit different from that. You know, so having the conversation, you know, molding it into your baby. This podcast is just as much a representation of myself on the inside as it is on the outside. Like, I needed to be cool with me before I could ever get in front of whoever may watch it and then have a conversation with someone. Right?
This is dope, man. We're talking about philosophy of life. We're talking about people's life stories.
Philosophy of life, that's all there is, right?
Yeah, man. No, this is dope, man. I appreciate it, man.
So one of the things that I do, and I finally printed them out, is have you ever heard of the game 36 Questions?
Nah.
So it's, you know, up for debate, but they say that there's this game, 36 Questions, right? And we won't do all of them at all. But like, doesn't matter who's sitting down in front of you, if you and that person were to both ask and answer all 36 questions, that regardless of the person that sits in front of you, you will love that individual. And I always got to throw that precursor in there. Love ain't just about significant. Love is everything, right? But just at least you'd be able to establish Tourage and common ground with somebody, right? So even if you have all the differences in the world, if you heard someone answer these, it'd be like that. So what I did in other podcasts, I've just asked someone to pick a number between 1 and 36, but I finally printed them out. So I tend to have my guests read 2 of them and see and answer them, because I think it would just be, if these are 36 questions, some are short, some are long, right, that actually open people up, that it's, I don't know, a nice way to get that much deeper into the individual.
Can you pick 2 or 3 of the ones that you want me to answer without me seeing them?
You could pick at random.
I don't want to read them first, is my point. So you're just saying just pick without reading them.
Pick without reading them, yeah, and then read them, and then, yeah. Because I'm also a big believer on whichever one that you pick happens to be the one that you're supposed to be. Well, no, that you're supposed to be talking about, because you won't know the question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, pick it out of hat type of deal.
Exactly.
Got you. I was going to say, yeah, I don't want to read it first, because then it defeats the whole thing.
Exactly. So, 2, finally. Any 2 of those? On phone. Before, I just wanted to stop doing the 1 through 36 that people pick, because, you know, some people always go right to 1. There's 1. There's 2. All right.
Yo, real quick, something that I wanted to touch base on, too, that I didn't talk about earlier when we were talking about surrendering to the universe.
Yeah.
So, the first time that I did that, I have this uncle that lives out in Washington. My aunt married him when she got remarried. His name's Lee. This guy is the most free spirit. He knows. I had a conversation with him about Alan Watts when he came and visited last time.
Word.
Lee is an amazing. Lee and Rena are amazing individuals, man. They're the most free-spirited, carefree, believe in the same thing we were talking about with the universe and all that. And I was about to go on Jimmy Fallon. I talked to him and I talked to my grandmother, and I'm like, I can't even practice, you know what I mean? It's freestyling off the top of the head in front of 7.5 million people.
We watched it right before you came, and I even said to Nick, talk about fucking pressure, man.
So he was like, I said, how am I gonna do this to people that don't listen to my grandmother and to Lee, to my uncle Lee? And Lee goes, surrender said, what do you mean surrender? He goes, just let go. He goes, don't think about it. Just completely let go. And then you'll know you'll be okay. So I'm like, okay. And he's like, this is how he worded it. He said, you are a conduit of energy. When you put your hands out, the energy comes through you. Let it pass through you. Don't ever let anything stop as it's passing through you.
Momentum.
So when he said that to me, I went to Jimmy Fallon, and and big shout out to Anisha from Oink PR. She's somebody I met through MySpace years ago, and she just called me one day. She's like, I got this opportunity to get you on Jimmy Fallon. You want to go? And she's just somebody that believed and had this opportunity and called me. It was just meant to happen. And big shout out to Anisha for making that happen, man. That was incredible. So I was at work, and then she called me up, and she goes, all right, the producer's going to call you from Jimmy Fallon. So I'm at work. The producer calls me up. He goes, oh, I saw your resume. You went to with these dudes. You're probably one of the more ready people to be on this than some of the people we got on here, because some of them are. I was like, all right. And he goes, here's 3 words. Boom. And then made me freestyling on the phone while I was at work. He goes, all right, you're in. Come tomorrow. Just like that. So I went down there the next day thinking I was good. Yo, there was 12 people I had to audition against. So it was like, boom, I freestyled in front of the producer again down this like side little alley. Dr. Phil walks by me. Black Thought, one of my favorite MCs.
Me too.
Forever. Black Thought, yo, peace, man. Boom, gave me that. Damn. Boom. He walked by while I'm freestyling to this dude. I remember he gave me like Bill Gates, Pitfall in Brazil. That was the one I had to audition. So boom, I did it. And I'm like, oh, great, man. I knew I was good. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I was all right. So then he goes, all right, we had to cut it down. We were going to have 3 people, but it's just going to be you and this girl, Dama Nils. Big shout out to Dama Nils, man. She's a dope MC. I believe she's from Brooklyn. But I already knew her because she opened up for Ghostface at a couple of the shows I was doing with Ghostface. Dope. So we already had talked about doing a song together. I already had mad respect for her. She's a dope lyricist, man. So I felt better, like the pressure was relieved.
More comfy, yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't even competent. We were just going up there and doing our thing. Like it was dope, man. So I sat down in the audience. I couldn't prepare for shit. Mm-hmm. All I knew was that the Roots were gonna play a random beat on the spot, like one of them biggest people in hip hop.
And the beat doesn't even really matter at that point, right?
And Black Thought is like I would say in my top 3 favorite MCs. He's one of the few people that can inspire me to write every time I hear a verse from him. He's the one giving me the 3 words. Black Thought is the one that gave me the 3 words. And this is before his freestyle on Flex and all that shit. Before everyone jumped on his dick. Like, Black Thought.
Yeah, you're late to the race if you jumped on that 9-minute, 30-minute, or 9.
I'm talking things fall apart, man. Like, I've been listening to these cats forever.
Push my seed in their bush for life.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Exactly. So I sat down. I knew Regis was coming on, and that's why they cut it down to just Dama and me. And I'm sitting in the crowd. I'm just kind of, honestly, I'm absorbing what's going on. So when I go up there, I'm like, I'm just going to talk about what I see. You know what I mean? And I was just about to get married. So that was when I came on. I was like, ready, set, go. This is ready, set, flow. I'm marrying a dime. She ain't no heavy set hoe. So like, I was just trying to think about shit.
She ain't no heavy set.
So I was just talking about shit that was around me. Mm-hmm. I mentioned Regis, and then when Regis came out, he started talking about me. Regis talked about me like 3 times, even in the middle and the end of his interview. He's like, where's BigStat? I'm like, what the fuck? So, but what I did was this is my point. Before I went on there, I said, in my head, I said, I'm going to kill it. 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 And I tricked myself into believing that I was going to kill it, not knowing what I was going to do or how I was going to do it. And then I said, God, if you exist, help me kill this shit. I don't know if you exist, but prove to me that you exist by helping me kill this shit. That's what I said in my head. And at that point, I felt confident, and I just let go. God, whatever you are, a ball of energy.
Everything.
I am God. You are God.
Everything.
We're all God. Like, God is everything. God is energy. Like Einstein, E equals MC squared. We're all energy. We're all connected. So at that point, I just let go. I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. But I made it through. That's why I jumped like a homo at the end.
I didn't even know.
I was like,
you're the only one noticing that.
But I was like, yo, I did it. but it was because I let go. Because I surrendered.
Yeah.
And I believed. You got to believe.
And you manifested.
Yeah.
Right?
Yo,
It
real quick. On that Pay My Dues mixtape, I said, drink a gallon of the goose, keep on wildin' in the booth until I'm rocking live on Jimmy Fallon with the Roots. I said that in a freestyle.
Before?
On the Pay My Dues mixtape, when I was recording it, before I dropped the mixtape.
Yo.
Right? So then I go on Jimmy Fallon, right? And I do it. I had to change the lyrics because I changed it from drink a gallon of the goose, keep on wildin' in the booth until I'm rocking live on Jimmy Fallon with the Roots. I changed it to drink a gallon in the goose, keep on wildin' in the booth. Yeah, you saw me rocking live on Jimmy Fallon with the Roots. I had to change it to past tense.
Yo, that is fucking so ill. It's not even funny. That is sick. That is like, I mean,
so I didn't.
You manifested blindly, and then you manifested consciously, and then while you were doing something that you had manifested from before. That is fucking amazing, bro.
So just talk about, like, my thing too with these songs is just talking about shit that I want. That's it. Just talk about things that you want. You know what I mean?
Put it out there. Once an idea comes,
pop that shit in your mental GPS.
Yep.
But don't worry about the directions
Yep.
on how to get there. Just worry about the destination. Everything else will come to you.
It's literally like
gotta let go.
Yeah, let go. Post up goals and let go. Because you got to have the goal first, so that the little actions from A to B, whether you're moving this here or driving there, have something to do with meaning, have something to do with what it is that you ultimately want to accomplish. And then you don't need to be too worried about where you drive at because you've already established that goal. And that is beautiful, son. That is so beautiful. It's
that was
not
a
even
story.
funny.
That was a story I meant to. There's more, but yeah, that was it. Yeah.
So, and on the same tip of letting go, just before you do that, because I didn't bring it up before, I think it's also dope that you and Method Man in a conversation, he actually basically gave you the advice on to let go of something, and how evident your life went right after letting go of something that was fucking with you, that was holding you down in certain directions, that you knew that wasn't right, how the momentum picks up differently and flows after that. It's like a stream with boulders in it. And do you want to you want to keep running into them and fucking with them, or do you want to just go right around it? Just let go. This shit, I think you and your wife would really like this. Paul Coelho, Warrior of the Light. Every page is like a different.
He wrote The Alchemist.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right up there. So one of my favorite pages in this is basically talking about, now I'm going to paraphrase here, but you got to leave the universe some wiggle room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Literally before you showed up, Nick and I were in the kitchen talking, and I said, one of the things that I was happy to learn in corporate is that when I needed to do a presentation to a $1 billion company about BI and business intelligence shit, is that yes, you got to be prepared. You need to know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But it don't matter how much of the script and the presentation you memorize. There are going to be things that happen in that room, and this goes for everything, that you will never be able to account for. So one of the things that's a beautiful thing to master is the ability to say, give the universe some wiggle room, right? The advice that you got before you went on Fallon. Let go, because when you're allowing yourself, it needs to go to the script. It needs to do this. I'm gonna say this. Those are boulders in your river, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not just letting it flow. And next thing you know, you're not being the real BigStat. You're being someone that is like fucking hindered by thoughts.
If you're focusing on those boulders, they're gonna come back and roll over you.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. Exactly. So how dope is that one of your mentors, someone part of the Wu-Tang Clan, literally had a conversation, first of all, respected you at a not hip-hop first, which has almost like more gratification involved in it than even just with the craft. It's like, oh, you like me from like just me, not even just this. And then eventually gives you some advice that like is just a small part of life, but such a thing to master, of like letting go and then watching how the momentum carried on and affected you later. And like, that's beautiful. Like all these stories they're amazing, and it's just proof in the pudding.
I got so many stories, man. We could be here for days, but yeah, man, it's just dope, man.
I feel you.
It's just life is a beautiful thing, man. It really is.
It really is. stop and smell the roses. It's like one of those quotes where you hear, they say cliche or whatever, you hear them a million times, but then there's one day at one age and one particular moment that you hear something, and something like stop and smell the roses makes so much more sense.
Like my son Isaac, he's a month and a half old, so I'll be chilling in my backyard holding him, right? And he's just looking at the sky. He's like a bobblehead. His head just bouncing around. He can't even hold his head up. But he's looking at the sky and the clouds. And his eyes are wide open. And the trees. Because he's seeing this stuff for the first time. We take so much for granted because it's so normal to us because we see it all the time. But the way that everything is so perfect in this world, like to work, just for things, for plants to grow, for us to be able to breathe, it's a beautiful thing. It's incredible. I can't even put it into words, but we don't appreciate it. And for my son, it's cool because it puts things in perspective. Seeing my son stare at everything for the first time with his eyes wide open, like this is, his eyes are like bulging out his skull, like, whoa, what are these clouds? What is this? This is crazy. You know, it's cool. It's cool. It's a great experience.
Kind of helps refresh your own, right? Nice,
yeah,
nice.
like I'll have a hard day at work, and I'll hold him, and he'll look up, and I'll just relax. I'm like, yo, this is life.
Yeah.
You know? This is a beautiful thing.
Those things hold you down, man. They really do. I mean, I don't have children yet, but my dad, I have an 11-year-old little sister, and I'm old enough to be her father, right? So I've always thought of this pseudo big brother / dad type of role. And there'll be times where I'm like not even in the mood to, because I feel like I need to be like the best role model or whatever. I'm not having a good day. I'm not even in the mood to go over there, but I make sure that I still do because, hey, one day when I have kids, you're gonna need to still do every day and go over there. And it's funny how like short of a period of time it takes being with my sister to just fuck the fuckery off of the rest of the world. It's just how insignificant, how funny, how whatever the job or whatever anything is it's such a grounding reminder.
Absolutely,
such a grounding
man.
reminder.
I love that life, man. I love that life. All right, let's go with the questions,
Let's see
man.
the two that you got. Go ahead.
Nah, you read it, man.
You want me to read it?
Yeah, I don't even want to look at it because then I'll start thinking of stuff as I'm reading it. Put me on the spot.
All right, this is number 3. Before making a telephone call, do you ever rehearse what you are going to say and why?
Yeah, I always rehearse what I'm going to say because, all right, if it's ordering a fucking pizza or a grinder, I don't want to stumble with my words. Or if it's something dealing with like music or business or something like that, I picture how I want it to end. I picture what I want to get out of the conversation and how their response is going to be before I even ask the question.
Yeah. So like,
always.
It's
always.
like it's a prep thing.
Yeah, if it's something that I'm asking a question, yeah, definitely. But if it's just a conversation with one of my boys, whatever, it could be just like you and me right now, and it's not preconceived, you know? But if it's a question or something that I want to ask somebody, I picture how it's going to go, yeah.
Yeah, on the same presentation, look, one of my professors in college told me, he's talking to us about a presentation at the end of the year we all had to make. He goes, I'm going to tell you now, a lot of you guys are going to fuck up. Well, he didn't say fuck up. A lot of you guys are going to mess up still. But it blows my mind how every year that this presentation is your final grade and how over 80% of you, the first time you will ever have read your presentation out loud is standing in front of the class.
You should have been in front of the mirror watching your movements,
asking other people to sit in,
yep.
Get in the field. I mean, like the couple songs that I did have that I performed and stuff like that, like I practice in front of people. Like there's something rooted in me with, I don't know, just wanting to do a good job. Not like, I know I'm more confident when I've done the work. So
absolutely,
I can't just, whether it's a phone call or whatever, like it does.
Rehearsing things, you know?
And once again, you jump back to manifestation a little bit there, right? Like I envision how I want it to go and everything.
It's a way of life, man. Manifesting things, it's a way of life.
Because doesn't it suck when you hang up the phone and you didn't do that, and next thing you know, the phone call went in a direction that you weren't prepared for on the spot? Like, you got to leave the universe some wiggle room, but did you even, can you even say, Stat, you properly prepped? Because if the answer is yes and it went wrong, no regrets.
It wasn't supposed to be that way.
It wasn't supposed to be. Answer is you could have done better, but then, you know.
Or the next time you make it happen. Sometimes it's not just that first phone call, because it's like, oh, this dude just wants something. You know, he wants something.
For sure. And that's part of the thinking about it all first, right? Before you even do it.
Yeah.
So that was question 3. They get deeper as they go. I wonder what you got for the next one.
Have you ever hired a prostitute in Thailand?
And realized she was a man? What'd you do? Question 10. If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. Nothing.
So what are the things that are different?
Sorry, I got to think,
okay.
man. I wish that it's hard because I didn't have a regular upbringing. You know, my mother wasn't around. She got murdered. My father was never there. He was always working. But that's what made me who I am now. But one thing, you know what? Nothing. Change nothing. I can't change it. I wouldn't change it. But I learned from it. I learned to tell my kids that I love. My father never really told us that he loved us much, you know. But being in his shoes, he went through a lot of fucking shit. I don't even understand how he even functions still going through the shit that he went through. He went through a lot of shit. A lot more. My dad ended up having 6 kids total. So to balance all that out, have your own business, his wife getting murdered, dealing with 3 asshole kids, you know, like he went through a lot.
Was there a serious time that you resented him for some of the way that he was, and then you got a little older and you realized, holy shit, look at all the shit he went through? Or you think you always had a good grasp on all the shit he went through?
I had a good grasp on it. I don't know if my brother and sister did. I've had this character trait since I was little where I would always put myself through other people's perspectives. Always. That's definitely a trait that was good to have. Even sitting in the park, I would look, you see a homeless person, whatever, I tried not to judge people. You know what I mean? I would try to picture myself, why are they like that? You know what I mean? Or what did they do? Or maybe it's not their fault. Or, you know, and I think that that's what helps me with my creative process also, because I look at a lot of things in life through other people's perspectives, not just my own. I try not to be selfish, you know?
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I'm probably not as far as I thought I was going to be, because I'm not selfish with my time. You know, I try to keep my priorities in check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could be extremely far if I was selfish, because I wouldn't even be working a regular job right now. I'd be living on couch to couch. I'd be, yo, Samson, man, let me chill on this couch tonight, man. I gotta write some shit. You know, but I'm not selfish like that. You know what I mean? I wasn't raised that way.
Yeah.
My father raised us to, if you want something, you gotta work for it. You know? Take responsibility, never judge people. My father was always like that. Never judge anybody. He has the biggest heart. He would always try to help people. Always try to help people. He sees somebody on the side of the road with all 3 of us in the car and they got car problems, he would go there and try to help them. Like, that's just the type of person he was. Not even knowing him, whatever. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't change anything. I learned from some things that maybe he could have done better. But I wasn't in his shoes to experience life the way that he did to even be able to judge him.
No matter what, you can't talk, even if you still technically disagree or agree or whatever.
So I wouldn't change anything, but I learned from a couple things. I learned a lot of good things from him, and I learned a couple things that I could do a little better, you know? So.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good way to answer. I feel like most people... It just shows the difference in being grounded. It shows getting to a different point mentally with it when you realize that, like, oh, well, I'm good, I'm grounded, I'm here right now with me, and if I change any of that, well, that fucks up all this shit of where I'm at now, right?
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. It definitely does.
You just got, and then you got to look for the good reason. Shit could go wrong when you think everything happens for a reason, but you just start calling out, and now I'm late for this, and then and like, and now I'll never be able to do this, and
I've
like,
done that in that same exact nerdy white person voice too. I've done. Yo, excuse me for 1 second.
No worries. I actually got to text my manager and make sure I don't need to be in tonight, because if I do, I gotta leave in 15 minutes. But I don't think I do because it's Sunday. No,
I told it would be done in like 10 minutes. I know them kids are wilding out right now.
Oh, Andrew and Chase.
Yo, so you got a beat? You want me to spit some shit, or you want to play some new shit, or?
Yeah.
What you want?
Yo, Nicky Y, you in there?
Yo, he passed out, man. He got a piece of pizza on his white t-shirt, upside down, pepperoni on his kneecap. He got a lesbian octopus on his head. He's got a fallopian tube going down the river. He's got
hitting boulders and shit.
He got a safety first shirt.
Right, dope shirt. So just like what I'll do, I'll edit if you want or not. I could edit some of this in, and then but like just in case I do need to go in, I just want to say now, like, thank you very much for coming.
Yo, I'll just do like 2 minutes, whatever.
No. I don't think I need to go in, but for editing purposes, if I gotta cut it there, then at least there was an ending, right? But yeah, I really want you to hear some of his beats.
Okay, yeah. I told she's gonna be back in like 10 minutes. How you want me to do it? With the headphones? No headphones?
You could take the headphones off, yeah, just so you could hear that beat too.
Yeah. You got something like 90 beats per minute, 95? A little faster. Yeah, 90 straight.
But a lot of my shit is slow.
Yeah. Nah, most of my producers like 86.
Yeah. I try and stay 85, but
I'm good.
You good? All right. What was that? Put that one back.
that shit's real slow.
Is it? Let me hear it though. You like the machine?
It's the only thing I ever really fuck with, other than like fucking piano shit. So. But it seems mad easier than like MPC or shit to me.
Yeah, my boy G Wiz loves that shit. Yeah, sound a little faster.
Yo, good shit. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Man.
Appreciate you too, bro.
I learned a lot from you too, man. Shit's
both
dope,
ways,
man.
Dude. That was the one we did the Jordan Peterson thing too, right?
Leave that for a sec.
There you go.
Leave that. Yeah. BigStat, live on the Tourage. Yeah, live on the Tourage. BigStat, live on the. Close your eyes if you can't see past the fact that I'm white. I wrote this in the dark, now I'm closer to the limelight. Portions of the Forbes list, Grammys of the 5 mics. Either way, you can't change the targets in my eyesight. Archaeologists acknowledge this, digging in my archives. Follow my accomplishments. This is just a start. I'm in it for the long ride, ignoring all the stop signs. Every line's a high jump. That's how I set the bar high. I'm throwing your reviews or opinions when I rap now. Feedback from you sound like minions in the background. And everybody got something to say now. You don't do something about it, then you just in the way now. Today is ours, you're afraid to spar. Every time I'm spraying bars, they cover in your face like you're afraid of SARS. Since I'm a threat, they wish for my death. Only thing that I'm afraid of is to live with regrets. That's why I freak a break beat on repeat. Become numb from my eyes all the way to my feet. Hypnotize mind and soul and I go in a trance. Exercise rhyme control in my flow in advance. Go ahead and talk shit, you'll get caught like a dog in a pound. Bunch of ostrich, never getting off of the ground. Fear none, they're a pebble when I'm stomping the ground. There's none on my level, so I talk to the clouds. I fly high, it's my time to step off to nothingness. Skydive, then high five, I check off the bucket list. Visualize the image, I'm living what I think inside. Sit aside and criticize, a witness through the winner's eyes. And even though I'm working, they hope I close the curtain. That's why I stay disconnected like a broken circuit. Since I'm a threat, they wish for my death. Only thing that I'm afraid of
as I live with regrets. I feel like my whole life's a mirage. BigStat live on the Tourage. I feel like my whole life's a mirage. BigStat and Samson live on the Tourage. Yeah, yeah.
Yo. Yeah.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate you guys, man. You gonna bust on now,
Gotta
man?
go for a little bit. Live on the Tourage, you know we going really far. I always told my mama that I would win when I spar. And when I spar, I'm always on these martial arts. I'm trying to figure out my own way. And when I throw darts, bullseye, boom, banging out the motherfucking frame. Man, it's Samson. Tourage, we doing that damn thing. It's BigStat. Look at the statistics here. We just doing this big like population of deer. Yo, can I bump the Jordan Peterson one real quick? Yeah, yo, so one of the things, like, you've been able to perfect getting into that zone. You know, that's like a hard thing to do. So, the one we were doing the other day was like, right, it's like, I'm a hustler, screaming out on my paper route. I was not, never ever was any doubt. Ride or die, life I'm living when I'm living now. Be here now, ain't it funny how spiritual be? Fuck, the fuck is it here? Funny how spiritual. Fuck it, I'll just flow then. So then it was like, Alan Watts, the plot gifted now. I'm thinking about my spiritual path, personal legend, and I'll dash through all of life's obstacles, be like water. Bruce Lee, flicker the wrist. I'll make money for my daughter, so she know a man to man, so she stand up and be all that she really can. We trying to understand there's bigger things at hand. I got the Cabernet Sauvignon in hand, so a little bit red wine for my grind time. Gotta make sure I stay on my divine time, cause be here now is in the moment. I'm drawing circles, Tourage, mirage, the toning. Make it a real vision, not one you think about. Make sure your thoughts that you listening to, scream them loud. Be here now. Fucking.
Yeah, live in the moment, bitches. S. Sampson. Big Stat. Yeah. What, you want me to do one more?
Sure.
Let the minds count the. Hold up. Yeah. Getting wiser with my age, let the minds count the days, but don't ever let the mountain lion out the cage. Rhymes flying off the page while they crowd around the stage, looking like 1,000 bats flying out the cave. Turning up the beat while the words just hit the sheet. Break the thermostat, 3rd degree, burn you with the heat. Looking up to me like looking up at constellations. Stars are all around me, can't stump my concentration. Got tunnel vision till I'm up for nominations. Never saw it coming like Trump's inauguration. Bargaining with Stat, I just sharpened up my axe. All you artists hit a whack, have targets on your back. Hit you so fast, it's like a loud saw running. Lay you out, then I'm out like an outlaw running. When I'm walking through, you said you stopping who? Say it to my face, yeah. I'm talking to you, motherfucker, yeah, you.
Motherfucker, what it do?
Yo, Samson, it's been real, man.
It's been real.
I appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you
I'm
too.
gonna slide out. Trying to balance life. Yeah, they've been here for a minute, man. I'm gonna go back to the children's. But yo, man, it's dope. I appreciate you having me, man.
I'll drop it all before I leave for Hawaii on Thursday.
Okay, dope, man. Yeah, give me little video chops. I'll start posting shit up too, man.
For sure, yeah. I'll do a highlight. I'll do everything so you could have it after.